Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-jana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagad Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sahagad Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitansha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taribhescha Kripa Sindhabhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, welcome everyone. So happy Ekadashi. Nice Ekadashi class. Hare Krishna. And today is also the beginning of Jhulan Yatra. So if you are able to make, please come to temple and try to swing Shri Radha Gopinath. It says whoever swings Radha Gopinath in the material world, he gets an opportunity to swing Radha Gopinath in the spiritual world. So it's a very nice occasion, as much as possible. Oh, there's a jhula Vinay Prabhuji has in his own ashram. That's very nice. Hare Krishna. So he has created his own personal jhula for the lordships. Very nice. I don't have a jhula at home, so I'll be going to temple. Thank you, Vinay Prabhu and family, for making such a nice, beautiful jhula for the Lord. Yeah, so please try to come. So it's next 5 days, swing will be on. I think they're swinging from 7:15 onwards. So as much as possible, please come. In the final day will be Jai Jagannath Baladev Sudra Bharani Ki Jai. And final day will be Balram Jayanti, which is on 31st, Thursday. And also on Balram Jayanti, there's a half-day fast. And then after half-day, you can eat just a normal prasadam. Okay, let's start the class. So I can see Mohit Prabhuji here today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Would you like to do the inauguration? 1328.
Sure, Prabhu. So we start in 1328, Prabhu. The section we start from 1327, which is Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge. And we starting from 1328. I read the verse, Prabhu. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthātam parameshwaram vinashasvat avinashatvam viha pashyati sa pashyati. So, Prabhu, for this verse, we talk about samam sarveshu bhuteshu. Samam means of all the living entity. Sarveshu bhuteshu, he sees equally. So, for all the living entity, he sees equally. Tishthātam parameshwaram. All he sees super soul is situated in all living beings. He see all the living being has situated on all living beings. There is a super soul situated. Vinashanta which get destroyed, and Vinashanta which doesn't get destroyed. So here, the thing which get destroyed is the body, and the thing which doesn't get destroyed is the soul. Ya pashyati sa pashyati. He see all the he sees the super soul behind the body. So he is the actual seer. So basically, Prabhu, on this one, we talk about one who see the indestructible super soul always accompanying the indestructible individuals in all bodies, and he's the actual seer.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this the theme of this whole section, as you can say, continuously seeing Paramatma, seeing the Atma separate from the body. Because if you remember in the previous verse, 27, which is the first verse of this section, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Samyogya. So everything, whatever we see manifested around us, is just a Samyog, union of Kshetra and Kshetragya, and the two types of Kshetragya, which is explained in 1328. Thank you, Mohit Prabhuji.
And you mentioned that this verse is similar. We can compare to 518, where we talk that in similar theme.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. 518, Vidya Vinay Sampane Brahman Gavihasani. Thank you, Prabhu. 1329, Ujjwal Rasa Mataji or Prabhuji, would you like to do one?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
1329 translation. One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Again, the similar theme as previous verse, it's mentioned here. One who sees equality in everything, and that equality being Ishvara is situated in all living beings, from very small living entity to the like ant to the largest biggest living entity like the elephant. By such vision, when one develops such vision, he will not degrade himself by the effect of the mind. So, and the result of such vision is that he will attain a transcendental destination. That's what is described. We also discussed sarvada means always, and that's in reference to the time. So sarvada means always, in at all times, and sarvatra means actually it's in all places. So basically, if one sees this kind of vision, equal vision in all the time and in all places, that's when he will he will be eligible for transcendental destination. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So it's a very nice verse. In one verse, Krishna actually has given the whole key, how to achieve the Param Gatim, the transcendental destination. You should not degrade your soul. Atmanam refers to the soul. Atmana refers to the mind. So don't degrade your soul. And when you will not degrade your soul with your mind, Samam Pashyam Pashyan hi sarvatra samavasitam Ishwaram. Unless you start seeing Ishwara everywhere. Otherwise, what you will see, just the bodies, just the forms. And sometimes we get attracted to the forms, sometimes we hate some forms. Like we belong to a particular community and say, yes, I am, say, Indian or whatever. And I hate those people, or I love those people. Huh? So we have this distinction of vision based on the bodies. But once we understand the Paramatma is sitting everywhere, then we'll get equal vision, and then we'll not do degrading activity, which is done by our own mind for our own self. Hinasti means degradation. And then we can achieve the Param Gatim. So it's a very beautiful sutra verse, you can say, 1329. Okay, 1330. Okay, video is changed again. Charu Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna,
I'm
Mataji.
just not feeling too well again.
Okay, no problem, Mataji. All good. We have Mohan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
So the next verse, Prabhu, again continuing the same theme. Translation: one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So the person in real knowledge, he would see that all the activities are performed by Prakriti. So Prakriti yev cha karmani. So all the activities are done by the material nature, which is body, and the body is given by the Lord according to our past desires and karma. So all acts are everybody is forced to act according to his bodily constitution, and the three modes of material nature. I think you said 3.27 was the same theme. So it's
Prakte kriyamani, gunaikarmani sarusha, ahankar vimnatma, karta amiti manyate.
so in this verse, the only difference is that once he starts seeing in this way, then he is in real knowledge.
Yeah, and that's in 327 was said, you are a vimhuda. If you think, you are the only doer. And probably with the bodily, we can also attach, if you just want to say, although we can say material nature, but if you say bodily, we can attach the mental situation as well. Because body and mental can be very, very different.
Sure.
So bodily and mental, this is all produce of material nature. And we are situated in a particular situation with our bodily mindset and everything, and then we act accordingly. So akartaram sapashyati, who sees soul is the akarta. Prabhupada writes, the self does nothing. Akarta sapashyati, he is the one seeing. Otherwise, we get all these ego or depression. I've done this, or I'm useless. Some people go in depression thinking I'm useless, but actually soul does nothing. Soul is completely separate. It's just your material nature around you and within you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thanks, Prabhu.
31 we can just leave. Yeah, this one we can do very quickly. It's a nice verse. It's a one very good point. I see Rasan and Prabhu and Mataji next on my screen at least. Anyone would you like to do?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm also not feeling well. Anyone try this, Prabhu. Translation. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, he sees how beings are expanded everywhere. He attains to the Brahman conception.
Prabhuji, we are doing 32. That's okay.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor it is entangled. Yeah, so this is talking about the soul is actually the non-doer, and whatever activity is done by him actually is not entangled by the soul.
Yes. So it's a characteristic of soul. We can say anaditvam. So it is anadi.
Yeah, it is
So there is
eternal
no,
and is changeless.
yeah. So we say our date of birth is, X, Y, and Z. That's just a bodily date of birth, nothing to do with the soul. Nirgunatvam, soul does not have any gunas, means is beyond the gunas in the pure state. Param Atmayam, Avyaya. Avyaya refers to imperishable. So there is no end. So there is no beginning and there is no end. And in between, it is Nirguna. Sharirasthopi konteya. So it's situated. Istha means situated. Tishtanti, sthiti, whatever you read, situated in where? Sharira. Na karoti, na lipate. Na karoti means it does not do anything. It does not get entangled. In the pure state, soul's characteristics are explained here. The soul neither does anything nor is entangled. And 33 is also similar. Mataji, would you like to do?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. It is like the analogy that is given with the sky and the soul. So here, Sarvagatam is all-pervading. So the sky is, though because it is subtle in nature, though it is all-pervading Sarvagatam, it does not mix with other things like upallipate mixes. Similarly, the soul is also situated in the body, which is sarvatra, everywhere is sarvatra. So it is situated in dehi, which is in the body. Still, if the soul which is got that Brahman vision, it does not mix with other, do not mix with the body, though it is situated. The soul which has got this Brahman vision will not mix with the body. It doesn't think that I am the body, like sort of thing. So
Yep.
That's the thing.
And the Prabhupada gives a very beautiful, simple example. In the first line of the purport, the air enters into water, mud, stool, or whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Now, it can carry an aroma, which may be very pleasing to us. When it passes through a friendship and or some flowers, oh, very nice smell. Huh? And it passes through, say, a stool or something, oh, very bad smell. Huh? But air is actually just carrying some particles for a while. And after few meters, you will see the air is fresh again. It's not getting contaminated. It's just the mixture for temporary purpose. Similarly, the soul is situated in this body, and it may seem to be very contaminated, but it's not contaminated at all. It's just the bodily condition of that soul. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, it's just a simple one. As one Ravi means sun, illuminates the whole universe. Similarly, this one soul illumines the whole body. And where does it get that power from? From the super soul. Now we read the 35. We have Madhuri Mataji next on my screen. If you want to do, I'm not sure whether you were there last class.
I was there, Prabhu.
Okay, if you like to do.
So a translation, those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So again, here we are talking about Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra is body, Kshetrajna is the soul, proprietor of the body. And so here, if we see with the eyes of knowledge.
Yes, sorry, one thing, Mataji. So Kshetragya, what's the meaning of Kshetragya? Now what you said is correct. If you break the word Kshetragya, Gya means
Kshetra,
knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah, knower. Kshetra means the area of influence. Area. So knower of the area. Basically, literal translation that now who is the knower of that area? Two people can know, soul and the super
and the
soul.
super soul.
Can sort of easily remember Kshetragya. Gya means Jnana. Jnana, knowledge. No. So the knower. And then knower can be we ourselves as a soul, I'm saying, and the Paramatma.
Or the super soul. Yeah.
Please continue.
So what is the difference between body and soul, or is that we can only know? Antaram is difference. Jnana chakshusa. Chakshusa is eyes. Jnana is knowledge. With the knowledge, eyes of the knowledge, if we see, then the difference between the kshetra and soul, kshetrajna, we will identify. Bhuta prakriti.
One more thing here. Just we need to understand these words. So chakshu is not eyes. Akshi is the eye. Cha akshu. Cha means with eyes.
Cha means
with. Cha means or and eyes. Huh? So chakshu refers to you are seeing with the eye. Now we're not talking obviously about this physical eye here. So we're seeing, and which eye we are seeing with jnana.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. That's how if we break the word, we'll never forget the meaning of the words. Yes, Mataji.
Bhuta prakrita moksham cha. So bondage. Bhuta prakrita is material knowledge, bondage of material knowledge. Moksha is the liberation. Ye vidur yanti te param. So param is again the supreme transcendental. Yanti is attain. Ye vidur is ye. Ye vidur is those who know this, they will attain this supreme goal.
Yeah.
So they will also.
Yeah, ye is referring to the one who has the jnana chakshusha. Vidu refers to vid dhatu, that means to know Veda. Yanti, anyone knows Bhagavad Gita famous verse which has the word Yanti?
Yanti Deva.
Thank you, Mahavasu Prabhu. Welcome back. Good to hear your voice. Hare Krishna. Okay, Yanti Devata Deva. So that verse is there, 927. Sorry, 925 is there. Te Param. So Madhuri Mataji has perfectly done word-to-word translation. Thank you. So we are all learning. You can definitely look here. And many times our translation may not be correct, and we should be careful because words do not have just one meaning. The meaning may change, but roughly if we understand few words, it becomes very easy to understand the verse. Otherwise, they look like a heavy load, although they are very beautiful verses. Okay. Anything else? Sorry, Madhuri Mataji wanted to add. Okay, I think Mataji is done.
No.
Anyone else have any questions or comments before we move to the next chapter, chapter 14, which is a very, very, very interesting chapter. I love chapter 14. All the chapters are nice. Okay, everyone is like, so aata hai. Okay, if you understand chapter 13, that's great. All glories to you because it's considered one of the most technical chapters of Bhagavad Gita. It has different terminologies used, so sometimes maybe a little confusing, but the basic principle that Prabhupada has said here, we need to understand Atma, Paramatma, and the relationship between them. And the end goal should be Vishvaksenu Kathasyadna Padiyadyadiratiim Shrama Evahi Kevalam. So the all substance is whatever generates more rati, more attraction towards the katha of Vishwaksena or Krishna, then it's all successful. And that's definitely done by Prabhupada in his purports very, very nicely. Okay, let's move to chapter 14. Now, before we start chapter 14, anyone knows the relationship between chapter 13 and 14, which we have already discussed? Just a little bit, if you could help, that will be nice. Any particular theme or verses which you remember from chapter 13, which connects to chapter 14?
So chapter 13, it explained like how the living entities they entangle in the external energies due to our desires for enjoyment.
Yes.
And
which
chapter
verse
14,
is that, Mohit Prabhu? If you remember, you're right.
Verse 13, Purushas.
13:22, Prabhu.
22.
Thank you, Rasanand Prabhuji. 1322. What it has been called by our acharyas, 1322? Anyone remembers the word, the technical word given by our acharyas?
Bijavakya.
Thank you, Bijavakya. So it's a seed. And sorry, I put 2 here. It's 22. Okay, so this is the verse I've put on the screen. So Purusha Prakriti Sohi Bhungte Praktijan Guna. So which word is the most important word here? You can see on the screen. Bhungte. Bhungte means Bhogna.
Enjoy.
Desire sense gratification. Now, who has this desire for sense gratification?
Enjoy.
Living entities.
We have. Living entity have this desire for sense gratification. And this is the seed. Now, what's the connection between 1322 and the next chapters of Bhagavad Gita? Manmohan Prabhu explained very nicely, I think, in the last class. Maybe someone else can do it. I know Manmohan Prabhu already knows that. Anyone else remember what Manmohan Prabhu explained in the last class? Okay.
It says, Prabhu, how material energies bind the soul. So these 3 modes of nature.
Yes. Yeah, so that's correct.
We talk in 1322.
Yes, Prabhu, that is correct. So this is the beach, and you can see the result is Sat Asad Yoni Janmashu. And if you remember, 1321 was talking about Sukha and Dukha. Now, Sukha and Dukha is temporary experience of your own body. You know, May 2021 wasn't very good, and you can say I was very miserable. Now, May 2022 is better, or maybe worse, whatever. So that is Sukha and Dukha. But Sad Asad Yoni Janmashu, this leads to in good or bad species. So that's a bija. Now this bija will be what? Okay, Manmohan Prabhu, I'll give it to you. Everyone is looking at you.
So 14 will talk about watering the seed.
Yes.
15
So what is the water?
So the 3 modes.
3 modes of material nature, they are considered like watering. And why is that? You see any connection between seed and water? Seed is grown when the water is put, isn't it? Generally speaking, when there's a seed in the proper soil, you can say, which is this Prakriti, and you put the water. And here water is our sense gratificatory activities. Now, what are those? We'll discuss later. But, you know, when we enjoy this material nature, so-called enjoy the material nature, what happens? Our desires grow actually, isn't it? When we get so-called successes in our life, nothing to do with Krishna, then we say, wow, maza aa gaya, huh? Ek aur. When what do you call, gambler goes to a casino and he wins, I don't know, a game or something, huh? Then what does he do? The next thing what he does, From 100, I made 1,000. Let me put another 100. And then he loses that 1,000 as well. This is what happens. So when you start so-called enjoying the material nature, that means the water is coming through. Seed is growing. And seed is grown. Next. So water has been put. Sense gratification is done in a happy or miserable way, whatever. Then what's the next thing?
Tree will come up. So
Yes.
the topmost part of the tree is the
So seed will become tree. What is that tree? Chapter 15. We have been reading that chapter 15, the whole Purushottam upside down tree, which we'll read probably in a few weeks' time. And then Manmohan Prabhuji.
And 16 is Prabhu, the top part of the tree is the
Divine.
higher, the divine, and then the roots are the lower part of the tree is the demonic people. And
No,
then
just on that one, sorry, Prabhu, I'll correct ourselves. So here the top of the tree is the bottom of the tree, and bottom is the top because it's tree is upside down. So whoever in the bottommost of the tree, bottommost here refers to the top of the tree. Actually, they're the top. Why? Because they're closer to transcendence, which is in Sattva. And then the bottommost one of the tree, which is upside down tree, are the lowest living entities like Asuric, demonic. That's what the chapter name is, divine and demonic, chapter 16. Yes, Manmohan Prabhu.
And then 17 is the people who have got the mixed qualities.
Yes.
So in the 17.
And you know anyone who has the mixed quality, Prabhu?
We have, I mean, I have, sorry.
It's a human.
We all sitting here, beach wale. क्या कहते हैं हिंदी में ना माया मिली ना राम. Neither we can enjoy sense gratification fully, nor we have full taste for Krishna consciousness as yet, at least. But there's a hope. One day, Ram milenge. One day. Yes, Prabhuji. So 17 is the middle ones, which we see most of us are in that middle range. Yes, Prabhu.
And then 18 is a summary.
Yeah. Just something. Thank you, Prabhu. So this is why this 1322 is called Bijavakya by our Acharya. So 14th chapter, which one Prabhuji was saying, this is the watering that seed, modes of material nature. Now we use this word quite often in Bhagavad Gita and in the Shastras as well. Now let's define what are these modes of material nature before we get inside the chapter. So what are these three modes of material nature? So these three modes of material nature, as we know, there are 24 elements. Anyone remembers the 24 elements? In
Yes.
Sankhya, I mean. Anyone can say yes.
Air, water, earth, water, fire, and ether. Five.
That's Panch Mahabhut, that's there. Yes, Prabhu.
And 5 knowledge acquiring senses.
That's right.
So then 5 working senses.
So you can say Gyanendriya and Karmendriya. So that's 5 plus 5 plus 5. Yes.
And 5 sense objects.
5 sense objects, which is called Tanmatras. So this is 5 into 4 is 20. Yes, Prabhuji.
And 3 mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar. Thank you. 23.
And then 3 modes of material nature, 24.
So 24 is the modes of material nature. Now, you see in these, this whole table or chart, you can say there are many gross elements. There are many subtle elements. Any gross elements anyone knows? Actually, 15 you can say. The Pancha Mahabhut, like, okay, air you cannot see, but you can experience it. It's still a gross, huh? You can experience it. Can you experience, can you touch your intelligence, for example? Everyone is intelligent here. There are many SMEs, subject matter experts in their field, but we can't, but we know we are all intelligent beings. Now, at least we think that way. We all think we are Buddhiman. We may be Buddhu, but we think we are very Buddhiman. I am the very clever one. Everyone else is Buddhu, but I am the clever one. At least we think that way. So, but we can't sort of touch or feel that. We can only experience it. So similarly, there in this 24 element series, there are some gross elements and some are subtle elements. So modes of material nature, which category they will fit in? Anyone? Subtle or gross? Obviously subtle. Huh? We can't see. This is mode of sattva, this is mode of passion, or this is mode of ignorance. Now, in the subtle, but this subtle is a very prime factor for interacting with the gross matter. It says soul interacts with the modes of material nature, and that's how it interacts with the gross matter. So soul's journey to the matter happens through the modes of material nature. So that's why they act as a bridge. So whatever soul desires, I desire eat something or go somewhere, that will be facilitated by, if I deserve, obviously, by the modes of material nature. And then the gross results you can see. Suppose I speak with my tongue. Tongue is also indriya, a sense. So with my tongue, I can speak something very nice, which is pleasing to others, or I can say something which is very displeasing to others. I heard from one poet or saint, you can say, who was saying in Hindi that the tongue doesn't have any bone, but when it works, it can break the bones. Tongue itself doesn't have a bone, but it can break the bones. With the tongue, you can say many historical instances have happened just because of the tongue. In Mahabharata, we see a popular incident. It says it's not actually in Mahabharata, but it's very popular around Andhe ka putra andha. The blind son is a blind, and that actually caused one sense, the whole Mahabharata. Why? Just because of tongue. Because tongue moved in a certain way, it caused the death of millions of people. So that's why Shastra says, before you speak, you should think 3 times. It's very difficult when the avesh comes inside, when the avesh of anger especially comes. We just forget the limits. And when it opens up, it can break so many relations, it can break so many things. Anyway, so the point which I'm trying to make, from internal consciousness, this is the modes are the bridge which acts through consciousness to the matter, and it impacts the matter. In one word, you can say they are the psychophysical forces. So they're not a gross thing, they're psychophysical. It's sort of, it doesn't compel you, but it impels you. Chaitanya Prabhu says, it impels you, means when the krodh comes, for example, one emotion, krodh or happiness comes, it sort of impels you to speak, but you can stop, isn't it? We all have that control. Now, we lose that control many times, but we all have that control. So it says modes does not compel us. You don't have to speak harshly, but you may decide. But actually, there's no decision that time. It just happens automatically. When the anger comes, it just comes out. So that's where His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, I'm looking at him, was telling one day, a normal living entity, just on anger, I'm saying, Maharaj was saying, when the anger comes, they speak immediately. It's like an instinct reaction. Instinct is like when someone is taking a pin towards your eye, your eyelid will drop automatically, isn't it? You don't have to think, oh, let me drop my eyelids. It will just happen automatically. So similarly, when the krodh emotion comes in many people's heart, what happens? Instantly, they start speaking some harsh words. But he said a devotee, when he practicing devotee, when anger comes, he will say, maybe, I should just listen and not say anything. But after 5 seconds and 10 seconds, no, I cannot tolerate. I have to fix this up. And then they will speak. And Maharaj said, slowly the gap should increase. From 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, like that. A devotee thinks, no, actually, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. And some people say sometimes, now my patience is broken. Ab nahi bardasht ho raha hai. I can't tolerate anymore. But for a devotee, there's no such limit. My Guru Maharaj said, a devotee can tolerate anything, but you define your limits. An ideal devotee can tolerate anything. He will never complain. Krishna, this is too much. There's no such thing called too much. Kunti never said it's too much. Anyway, so the point which I'm trying to make, we have a consciousness, we have some desires, right or wrong, whatever. And through the modes of material nature, we sort of express it and the results come out. So they are the psychophysical forces which exist in the nature. They are subtle forces. They cannot compel us, but they impel us to act in a certain way. Now, why people get impacted to act in a certain way, that actually is different from person to person, because we are conditioned in different way from so many lifetimes. A person gets angry, he may be able to subside his emotions or her emotions. Another person may not be able to do that. Now, why does that happen? That's a whole different subject matter. But so these are the modes of material nature. Now, in this particular chapter, Krishna will start from glorifying this knowledge of knowing the modes of material nature. So first 2 verses is the glorification of knowledge. Any other chapter you remember when Krishna does a similar thing? 7th chapter and 9th chapter. First 3 verses, he glorifies the knowledge. Why does he do so? So that the audience gets some attention. Because in this Kali Yuga, the mind is very disturbed. So you have to, give some carrot. And this is a real one. This is not an unreal carrot. This is definitely a real carrot. So Krishna is doing a Shruti Fal in the very beginning. He's saying it's so important. This knowledge is so important. It gives you such a nice result. Please hear. Now Krishna is saying that. Shrudu me paramam vachaha. In 7th chapter, Krishna says, Shrudu me, please hear me. Paramam vacha, because these instructions are very, very important for you. Bakshami hitakamya, because I desire your hita, your benefit. So the first 2 verses will describe the glories of this knowledge, which is the modes of material nature. Then Krishna will describe how the soul gets impacted by the modes of material nature, how he gets in touch with the modes of material nature. And then it will describe the result of getting in touch. Getting in touch with fire, for example, if you touch the fire, what will happen? So first is how you contact the fire. You come. So if the fire is there, there's a winter season in India, you go to a village, 50 people sitting around the fire and they're just talking some prajalpa. That's fine. They're taking. But if they go too close, what will happen? They will burn their hands or their another parts of their body. So Krishna described how the soul get in touch with the matter, and then what happens when it get in touch with the matter. What happens when you come too close to the fire. And then it will describe the different characteristics of sattva, rajas, and tama. And then it will describe how to come out of that, how to transcend the modes of material nature. I'll just open this MIHE guide. So this chapter 13, chapter 14 here. So we can see 3 major sections here. So conditioning of the modes, and that have subsections as well. So glorification of the knowledge, how souls get in touch with the matter, and what happens when it gets in touch with the matter. So conditioning of the modes, then characteristics. Krishna explains in detail sattva, rajas, and tama characteristics. If you are in sattva, what actions you will perform, and when you die in a certain mode, what will happen to you? What will be the destination of people dying in mode of goodness, mode of passion, and in mode of ignorance? And the last, and the very, very important section is 19 to 27, transcending the modes of material nature. So we'll start from the first verse here. I'm just going in my screen, and after Madhuri Mataji is Mahavasu Prabhu on my screen. So welcome back, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha
Param Bhuya Pravakshyami
Param Bhuyaha Pravakshami
Jnananam Jnanamuttamam
Jnananam Jnanamuttamam
Yajnatva Manushya Sarve
Yajgyatva Munyaha Sarve
Param Siddham Ito Gataha.
Param Siddhim Ito Gataha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection."
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank
So
you.
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Param Bhuyaha. Anyone remembers the word Bhuyaha? Bhuya is coming as Bhuyaha. Again and again and again. So Bhuya has been used many times, and Bhuya means Bhuya. Again. So Bhuya comes again. So Param means transcendental. Pravakshami, anyone remembers? This has been used again and again as well. Bolna, I'm telling you, I'm describing you. So Param Bhuya. So I'm describing you what? Again, Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam. So out of all the Jnana, I'm describing you a Param Jnanam, a supreme transcendental knowledge, which is Uttamam. Uttam means, anyone remembers? You can break the words. Anyone? Uttama. Ut means Uttistha. Uppar. Tama means darkness, which is beyond darkness. We also call it very perfect. Krishna is known as Uttam Shloka. Uttam Shloka Vartaya. That's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm going to describe you Param Jnana, transcendental knowledge, which is Uttama of all the other knowledges, best among all the knowledge. Yajgyata, what will be the result of that? Yajgyata, once you know that, Munyaha Sarve, all the Munis, Sarve, all the Munis, Param Siddhim Ito Gata, they have achieved the Param destination, supreme perfection. So Krishna is again glorifying the knowledge, is saying this knowledge is best amongst all the knowledge. I'm describing you again, Bhuyaha. And if you know this, what will be the destination of these Munis? Param Siddhim. You will attain the supreme destination. Now there can be some questions here. He's saying, I am describing you Jnananam, Jnanam Uttamam, the best of the knowledge. Anyone remembers the similar words Krishna has used earlier as well?
Okay, 9th chapter, Prabhu, confidential.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Huh? So 9th chapter mein bola, there also he said this is the best knowledge. Huh? Here also saying the best knowledge. Rupam Prabhu, why Krishna is repeating the best knowledge twice and saying best knowledge? Any ideas? Thinking deeply. Anyone else can guess? Now Krishna cannot be wrong. Krishna has to be correct. Huh? Yes, Prabhu.
So I'm guessing that it's just because we as conditioned souls, we need to be reminded again and again.
That's a good point. Yes.
This is, and we have seen this time and again from chapter 2 onwards, things get repeat.
Many things, yes, you're right, Prabhu. And the point of repetition in Shastra is you have to hammer the point again and again. As Prabhupada is saying again and again, in practically every page, surrender to Krishna, serve Krishna. Huh? And that's the only way to get out. Thank you, Prabhu. That's a valid point.
Also, I want to add one more thing, Prabhu. In one of the classes, by Lal Govind Prabhu, I heard that if something is important, the speaker needs to tell the audience that this is important. So they repeat it. And one of the ways to tell them that this is important is to repeat it.
Yes.
So either you say that this is important or you repeat it in so many times that by default, the audience will remember it.
Yes. So that's definitely a valid point. And that's why Shastra is doing that. In Bhagavatam also, you'll see many times. Bhagavad Gita also similar things. There's one more point hidden. Hidden here. It's not hidden, actually, it's open.
But can I try?
Yes, Mataji, please.
So Krishna hasn't spoken about it in detail in the earlier chapters, but he's just in terms of conclusion, he's spoken about this.
Thank you.
And here he's going into the detail of it. That's why he refers to the conclusion as previous.
Thank you, Mataji. Very, very nice. Just not well, but thank you, Mataji. That's a valid point. So in terms of conclusory knowledge, what's the conclusion of St. chapter 9 chapter? Devotional service to Krishna is the only way to reach back to Krishna. So in terms of conclusion, he has given it already. 9th chapter is the same thing. Raja Vidya Rajguyam. The whole chapter was based on how the bhakta can reach back to Godhead. Now here the similar knowledge is given. So in terms of principle, he has spoken it again. Is speaking it again, but in terms of details, analysis of modes of material nature, has he done it before? He hasn't done it before. So that was he's doing it first time. So that's why he's saying this knowledge is very important. And that you will see very clearly in the last section when we come to transcending the modes. And you will see bhakti is the only way to transcend modes of material nature. So in terms of conclusion of this knowledge, he has given it early. That's why he's saying bhuyaha. What is saying Jnananam Jnanam Uttamam? Yes, it's the Uttam knowledge because this I have not spoken to you earlier. Now, another question may come, Munyaha Sarve, Yajagyata, if you know, he's not saying Bhaktaha Sarve. He's saying Munyaha Sarve. Why is using word Munya? Now, Krishna is very smart. He's choosing the words very, very carefully. So why Krishna is using the word Munyaha Sarve?
Devotees are beyond mode of material.
Hare Krishna. Sakhi Radhika Mataji is correct. Devotees are beyond modes of material nature, and devotees doesn't need all these detailed knowledge, because devotees are already surrendered to Krishna. Muni need this knowledge because unless Muni go through this knowledge, they cannot transcend the modes of material nature. That's why it says even Jnanis, Jnana yogis, I mean, also have to take devotional service in their pursuit. Without taking shelter of Vasudev, they cannot even grow there. Now, the only difference between Jnani and Bhakti in this terms is Jnani's goal is not Krishna. He is using Krishna or devotional service to achieve his goal. And what are we doing here? Our goal is Krishna. Our goal is to serve Krishna. So that's the difference. We both are doing deity worship, and Jnani yogis will also do deity worship. Jnani yogis may also chant Hare Krishna, but their goal may be very, very different. And Hare Krishna mantra says, it's Nam Chintamani. It's like a Chintamani. You can achieve any results. You can even achieve the material benefits by chanting Hare Krishna. You can achieve liberation by chanting Hare Krishna, and you can also achieve Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. So our Acharya says, why to sell yourself, why to undersell yourself? Sell yourself higher because you're doing the same process. Why not achieve Krishna? Why to achieve these temporary benefits of the devotional service, which some people may achieve? So Yajgyata Munya service. So Munis need this knowledge, Bhakta don't. Any other examples in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna has re-emphasized the fact Bhakta don't need this knowledge? Because many times we say, what are you doing this Hare Krishna whole day? Huh? Do you know any verses? Huh? Can you read and write? All these things. Sometimes devotees get blamed. Sometimes they may not have a lot of physical knowledge in their head, but they are very, very mature devotees. You remember the 8th chapter, if I'm not wrong, 8:27 or 26, Vedeshu Yageshu Tapasu Chaiva. There Krishna says, you don't have to do all this detailed analysis. Which time of the month you're going to leave the body, which time of the day you're going to leave the body, you're going to leave body in Uttarayan or Dakshinayan, because you don't need all this. Why? Because you are my devotee. And devotee is always safe with Krishna, always safe. He doesn't have to worry about, I'm leaving my body when it's Dakshinayan, for example. It's the night time. Devotee is always with Krishna. So there also Krishna has emphasized the fact. Here also is saying the same fact. That means our physical knowledge will not help us. Even Shankaracharya said that. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Murmate. And what's the last line? In the Antakal, this physical knowledge will not help you. Anyone knows the Sanskrit translation of that? Nahi nahi rakshati dukrata karane. Something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, so this physical knowledge will not help us. It's the love of Vasudev which will help us. Okay, let's go to the next verse. We have Mohit Prabhu is already done. Satyabhama Mataji or Sundar Prabhuji, if anyone of you would like to do 14.2.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Idam jnanam
upashritya
Mamsa dhammaryamagata Sarge api nopajayante Pralayena vyathanti cha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution.
Thank you, Mataji. So, idam jnanam upashritya. So it's a very simple word. Idam jnanam, this jnana, upashritya, if you take full shelter of this jnana. Now, upashritya word also similar, say upavas. What does upavas means? Today is Ekadashi. We are not doing upavas. I am not. Means in that sense, I ate a lot. At least twice I already ate. Anyway, so part of upavas as well. So what does upavas mean? Upavas. Up means
Staying
sameep,
close.
close. Stay close. Sameep, close. So upashritya means stay close to the knowledge. Stay close to the knowledge. And that means obviously in practical terms, not just in head. So idam jnanam upashritya. So if you take shelter of this knowledge closely, what will happen? Mam sadharmyam agata. Sadharmyam refers to my nature. So you will receive my nature. So my nature means you will become divine, transcendental. And then what will be the result of that? Again, taking shelter of the knowledge. Sarge. Anyone remembers the word sarga? Sarga, visarga, sthanam, poshanam, utaya. All these 10 characteristics of Bhagavatam. Creation. And visarga means? Secondary. So who's the top in sarga? Vishnu. In visarga? Brahmaji.
Brahma.
So Brahma takes in charge. So he takes all the material, he takes the knowledge, and then he does visarga. Are we also doing visarga? Yes. We take ingredients from Krishna or Mother Nature, some vegetables and paneer and whatnot. We make nice palak paneer sabji, gajar ka halwa on Ekadashi, makhana, peanuts, all these things. So, sargepi no upajayante. Upajayante. What's the root word here? Madhuri Mataji. Sorry. Upajayante, the root word. No. Ja. Ja means Janma. Aja. Aja means?
Janma.
Aja means not Janma.
Unborn.
Who is Aja?
Janma.
Who is Aja? Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu. Whose name
unborn.
is... Sorry, Rasana Prabhuji.
Aja means unborn.
Aja means unborn, yeah? And then sometimes we hear in Janmashtami, the unborn is born. Janmashtami is coming, Unborn is born. It's a very typical word, but very nice word. So, na upajayante will refer to, would mean to what? Na janma. Na
Never.
janma. When na janma? When sarga happens. So when the creation happens of this material world, now pajayante, so you'll not born again. So basically what it's saying, if you take shelter of this knowledge very closely, you'll not be born again. Now pajayante, at the time of creation. Who gets upajayante? The soul who has not taken shelter of this knowledge. Pralaye na vyathanti cha. Pralaya means dissolution. And the dissolution come, mrityu come, or any calamities come in our life. Do we get vyathanti? Vyathit hona. In Hindi, there's a word vyathit. Vyathit means disturbed. We get very disturbed, isn't it? When any dissolution happens, when creation means whenever property prices increasing, everyone is very happy. when pralaya happens, market is down, everyone is disturbed. So no one likes dissolution. Dissolution of bad karma is very nice. So when the pralaya comes, the biggest pralaya is what? When you get annihilated. So pralaya na vyathanti. So what will it mean? When the pralaya happen, dissolution happen, you will not be disturbed. When you lose the body, you lose the possessions of the body, you will not be disturbed because you know you are quite different than your external possessions. So this verse is easy or difficult? Anyone can translate it now. So idam jnanam upashritya. So when you take shelter of this knowledge, upashritya. There's difference between ashritya and upashritya. Up means very close, sit close to the Lord. Spend more time in chanting and serving the Lord as much as possible. Mamsada, you get my nature. Now, my nature does not mean you become Krishna or something like that. It doesn't matter. Sometimes we say, no, son is a reflection of father. Like father is humble, soft-hearted. You will see son is also like that. Sometimes, not all the time. I'm thinking of Vena and Anga Maharaj. Anga Maharaj was a devotee of Lord Vishnu and Vena was exactly opposite. Anyway, sometimes it happens. So, Sarge, if you take shelter, what will the result? Sarge na upajayante. You will not take birth again. When the pralaya happened, dissolution happened, you will not be disturbed. And Prabhupada writes, not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Yes, Rosanand Prabhuji.
Sorry, Prabhu, I have a question here. Here it says, by understanding this knowledge, we are not born again. If understanding is important, or realizing that knowledge and practicing is more important?
Definitely. Understanding means you understand. Like I can say theoretically, a simple example is smoking is injurious to your health or something like that. But if I still smoke, that means I've not understood the knowledge. So it's just a different word, same meaning. It is Prabhupada said, no, the Shastra is not just to be read, it has to be applied. So application is the most important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mata. Okay, let's go to verse 3. Now, 3 and 4 describes how the soul gets in touch with matter. Someone else was describing earlier, we are situated in this body in Pankajangrahi Prabhu, the head pujari of Sridham Mayapur. He was explaining once I was in Mayapur listening class. Prabhuji very simply was explaining the soul is pure spirit, pure soul, and our body is pure matter. Body is already dead. Radhanath Maharaj gave a class, and the title of the class, devotee spoke, Decorating the Dead Body. Beautiful topic. Some devotees do that, but so I was reading that lecture. Decorating the dead bodies. How many of us are doing that? And we take great pleasure in decorating this dead body. So Maharaj was basically saying, looking after the body, Maharaj was not saying discouragement, but saying just do whatever is needed. Decorate the soul. Do devotional acts for the pleasure of the Lord. Because this body is dead. There's no point of over decorating the body. You look after the body. If you have a car, we have to service the car, you have to put fuel in the car, you have to do rego of the car and do all those activities. That's not a problem. But if you just whole day, my car, whenever you ask, where is Prabhuji in the garage? Where is Prabhuji in the garage? Where is Prabhuji in the garage? Arey bhai, ho gaya car. So do some physical work inside house. So similarly, we should not overspend our time in decorating this dead body. Body needs to be maintained, serviced properly, dress properly, whatever is needed for the occasion, that's absolutely fine. But we should be very much sort of know that this body is supposed to end. And as Prabhupada said, take the best use of the bad bargain. Use this body and all the proprietorship of this body in the service of the Lord. Then this usage of the body is successful. So let's see how this soul, a pure soul, gets in touch with matter. And yes, Pankajangvi Prabhu was saying, so spirit and matter, because they're both pure in their own origins, when you put them together, you put tel and pani, you put oil and water together, you can see, right? They're incompatible. They don't go together. So you're putting this pure spirit soul in the body of the matter. It's a very incompatible situation. That's why we are all struggling. We're all struggling in our own ways. Someone may be struggling in area A, someone is struggling in area B. We are all struggling because we are in an incompatible situation. It's not very compatible. Not very compatible. So let's see verse 14.3 and 14.4. This is also a very nice verse. Who is in my screen next? Sakhi Radhika Mataji.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Mama yonir mahad brahma.
Tasmin garbham dadamiyaham.
Tasmin garbham dadamiyaham.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Sambhava sarva bhutanam.
Tato bhavati bharata.
Tato bhavati bharata.
The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata.
Thank you, Mataji. So Krishna is describing how all these living beings take birth. So Mam Yonir Mahad Brahma. So Mahad Brahma, as Krishna Prabhupada writes here, Brahma as Brahma. Now Brahma can have multiple meanings, but here we have to take shelter of Prabhupada's translation. So Prabhupada is writing Brahman. So Mam Yonir Mahad Brahma. So Yoni refers to source of birth. Mahad Brahma is total material existence. So Prabhupada writes the total material existence, which is called as Brahman, is the source of birth, which is correct. Many times we agree with that. Tasmin garbham dadhami aham. So I give garbha. Garbha refers to impregnation. So I give impregnation to this Mahad Brahma, and by which Sambhava sarva bhutanam, all living beings take place. Tato bhavati bharata. So basically what Krishna is saying here, Mama Yoni or Mahad Brahma, Brahman is who actually is Krishna himself, right? So Krishna impregnates Krishna. Because both are Krishna, isn't it? Brahman is also Krishna, and who's impregnating? That's also Krishna. So Mam Yonir Mahad Brahma Tasmin. And that through the impregnation, what comes out? Sambhava Sarva Bhutanam. Sarva Bhutanam. All the living, many different species which we see around. Shastra says 8.4 million species. They're all the result of Krishna impregnates. Now, whom Krishna impregnates, that's all written in Srimad Bhagavatam. And how the detailed structure is given in second canto and some in third canto as well. We can read there. Yes, Manmohan Prabhuji or Mataji.
So that's what I was going to ask about how it happens. Like,
okay, I can describe a simple terms. Probably you would have all seen the pictures. I know in this call there are many scholarly people are there. There's a picture of Mahavishnu looking at the material nature, and Mahavishnu glances on the material nature. And it says through his glance it impregnates the material nature, and in the glance all the living entities are there who are queued, who have raised their hands or who have filled their tender to go to material world. Main jaunga, main jaunga, main jaunga. Krishna was asking who wants to go to material world. So Krishna has asked this question twice. So the murkh one, the foolish one, they say, main jaunga, I will go. And there are some important ones. It says when Radharani was appearing in the material world, so when they came to know Radharani is going to material world, everyone on the Nitya Muktas, they said, I will also go, I'll also go. But Krishna only chose some of them. And here says some foolish entities, they are also saying, I'll go to material, but the purpose was completely different. So most of us, I can't say all of us, are those foolish categories which came to this material world to enjoy. So Mahavishnu takes those tender quota. Okay, A wants to go, Hemanga Chaitanya wants to go. Let's go, Hemanga Chaitanya, go to Sydney. I'll put you in Sydney for 20 years or 30 years and you can enjoy the life you want. Now, it doesn't work that way. So this is how it was. Mahavishnu glance. And now the glance itself is known as Shambhu, because Mahavishnu does not ever touch the material nature. And that's why sometimes said Lord Shiva is as good as Lord Vishnu, but not exactly as Vishnu. As Brahma Samhita says, he is like a curd. Kshiram yata dadi vikar vishesha yoga. So Shira means milk, which is Lord Vishnu or Mahavishnu, and Shambhu is the glance, which is like a dadi. So it says from milk, Prabhupada says from milk, dadi, what do you call yogurt is possible. From milk, yogurt is possible, but not the other way. From yogurt, you can't. So from Shambhu, you can't make Mahavishnu. So this how, and the material nature sort of receives that impregnation through the Lord's glance, and then material nature itself has everything, which is called what do you call the total material substance. I'm forgetting that word here. Anyway, we know that word, Mahatattva. So, and it activates. So the glance of the Lord activates the material nature, it impregnates with the actual jiva, and then Brahma sort of takes over, and then he started creating the bodies as per the desire of the jivas, and he puts in the material nature. So roughly speaking, second canto in 2-minute summary, crash course.
So all the species were they come into existence at the same time.
At the same time, yes. Now our science, Darwin theory, this and that says we come from monkey, and Prabhupada said, maybe Darwin has come from monkey, I didn't. He said that maybe Darwin came from monkey, but our ancestors were rishis. Like most of us will have a gotra before coming to Krishna consciousness, will be a Kashyap gotra or Gautam gotra or other gotras. So they are like the primary rishis, Prajapati. But after coming to Krishna consciousness, we are all in Achyuta gotra. Is that okay? And Prabhu, Manmohan Prabhu, 14.4 will reconfirm the same concept. Aham bija pradapita. And that Prabhupada explains there, the bija, the seed of all the living entities, 8.4 million species, are given by Krishna. So everyone appears simultaneously. And there, Prabhu, I've heard again in lectures, I've not done research. I'm sure there's millions of sources available. In lectures itself, our brahmacharis are telling again and again, there's so much other researches have been done where scientists have found a clear proof. So there's a normal theory of, we came 5,000 years ago or something as per so-called scientific advancement, but they have like solid proofs, not circulated widely in our so-called scientific community, that millions of years ago, the humans were there, millions of years. And the so-called scientists are finding it. But why they're not publishing it, circulating it widely? Because they don't know how to deal with these sort of explanations. Because then there will be, have to explain the community. So they have loads and loads of evidences how humans have been existing millions of years ago. But they just can't go back because it's a question of ego and their job, basically. They don't have the answers. But there's so many researches done on these matters. Okay, Rasanand, Manu Prabhu, is that okay?
Yeah, thanks, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Rasanand Prabhuji.
Prabhu, here the Brahman, they're given a definition as total material substance.
Yes.
Like in the 8th chapter, the same thing, it's talking about Jiva, Brahman. So
yes,
how do we understand that truth?
Yeah, that's why I said we have to take shelter of our acharyas here. So in Sanskrit, the words are not frozen. Their meaning will change based on the context. Many times Brahman may mean living entity. Brahman may also mean the whole, all-pervading Brahman, the light effulgence of Krishna. It can have lots and lots of meaning. Even if you see in other Sanskrit terms, I'm trying to remember, Mraga. So Mraga, everyone knows Mraga. Mragari, Mraga. Mraga means deer, Hiran. Mraga also means Singha, lion. Jiva Goswami explains that in the conversation between Radharani and Krishna. I think it's in Gopal Champu. So Mraga has different meanings. There's so many words in Sanskrit have different. So Brahman is one of the most complex words. If you remember 272, Esha Brahmi Sthiti. So the word Brahman has become Brahmi. And the explanation given by Jiva Goswami on that word is, so usually when say Janak Janaki, so Janak Maharaj, we have Sita Mata's father, and Janaki is the daughter. So generally speaking, when the female comes, we say Janaki, Raja and Rani, we say like that. So how come this Brahman has become Brahmi? So Jiva Goswami has given a beautiful terms actually in his Vyakaran, in his translation, and he says this has become a feminine, and he says Lakshmi Linga. So he so there's a masculine gender, which is the what you call Purusha Linga, and the feminine gender, which is the Strilinga, and there's a Napunsak Linga. Napunsak means neutral gender, you can say. So Brahman actually is a neutral gender, but it's been presented by Krishna as Brahmi, which is a feminine gender. So Jiva Goswami writes there, it has become a Lakshmi Linga. So he writes Narayana Linga for a Purusha Linga, and then Lakshmi Linga for feminine. So it has multiple meanings depending on the place it's being used, but it stays the same. We are also Brahman in one sense, we can say. And Krishna is Parabrahma, as confirmed by Arjuna in 10.12.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. But totally it's opposite. Like, Brahman, we are Brahman in terms of in terms of spirit we are. But
Yes.
here it's talking about the material.
Yes, material nature. So Brahman can also refers to material nature. Yes, Prabhuji, that's correct. And
So
that's
that means
why
Brahman means both spirit and matter. That way can we understand, right?
yes, depending on the usage, Prabhuji. And that's where I was saying many times we'll know the meaning of these words, but we have to take shelter of our acharyas as well, because we cannot translate just based on our limited knowledge. And Prabhu, just one more thing which comes to my mind, and that's why these verses, Vanu Maharaj was telling in one class, he was giving class to Srimad Bhagavatam. It says each verse of Srimad Bhagavatam has been, not can be, has been translated in 11 different translations, which is available in the market, each verse. Now you will say, how come people are doing translations? Like Bhagavad Gita, so many versions are available. Prabhupada has put the same verses in so much different presentation, and that's why it's called it as it is. And this is where these Mayavadis twist the meaning based on their conceptions and their presentation, what they want to present to the audience. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Rupa Prabhu.
Yeah, sorry. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, as we discussed about, like when Krishna glances on the material nature, impregnates it, and that's how we all came into existence, your tender theory. So Prabhu, then is it then there were individuals who wanted to come into this existence as mosquitoes, as non-humans? Because if all living entities were present at the same time, why would anyone come other than a human body? When at least bare minimum they should be looking for coming to this material world.
Okay, so it's again a big question Rupa Prabhu is asking. I'll try to summarize it. So initially, Prabhu, they don't choose the mosquito body or a dog body or a human or demigod body. That's not how it works. Initially, they are conditioned. Now, the condition itself starts it's a long journey. It doesn't happen, Prabhuji, in a day one. So Krishna will say, okay, 30,000 mosquitoes in Sydney, 20,000 flies, 20,000 earthworms. Doesn't happen that way. It's a journey of the soul. And as you know, Jagadanand Pandit, who has written Prema Vaivarta, Jagadanand Pandit was a very close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's written a book called Prema Vaivarta, which explains the journey, how a living entity falls from the spiritual world to the material world. And it's a very complex journey, but it starts with the enjoying mentality. And then slowly and says, when we arrive in the material world, we are all Brahmas on day one. We're all Brahmas. So when you're talking about impregnation, it's a part of journey which we are talking here. And that's why it starts from Mahavishnu, not Krishna Loka. And Mahavishnu, as you can say, is the source of material nature in that sense. Because when he's breathing in and out, he's sort of creating it. So he's creating those jivas who are in his body. So it's a cycle, you can say, Prabhuji. So Mahavishnu breathes in, he takes up all the jivas inside, and then he breathes out. It's a cycle which we are talking. So when the beginning happened and what happened, this is whole just different discussion, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So on day one, it doesn't happen, Prabhuji, that one of the soul will become mosquito. Doesn't happen that way.
Right.
So in the journey, eventually some soul choose to enjoy in a particular way. So no one applies for a mosquito body. Apply a funeral application. Once you die, Hari Bol, Prabhuji, Mataji, which body would you like to choose? You have option A, option B, option C, and D. And Mataji will say, none of them. I want a white mosquito body with the green wings in the Indraloka. Get out. No such option. So Prakriti provides all these. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say, Prabhuji. Prakriti provides, insan, soul does not choose that way. But soul is conditioned. The Prakriti says, okay, you want to eat meat, raw meat, better you become a lion or something like that. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So who's the author of Prema Vaivarta?
Jagadanand Pandit. Jagadanand Pandit. Prema Vaivarta is the book. Now, even to read that book, you need a lot of context. So don't just jump to the book. Read Chaitanya Charitamrita first. Now, Jagadanand Pandit is a very unique personality. I don't want to go in there. He's a very unique. To understand Jagadanand Pandit, you need to read Chaitanya Charitamrita first. He's a very different personality. He is the one who's in the mood of Satyabhama, actually. And when he speaks, sometimes it's not very pleasing to other Vaishnavas, but he's very pleasing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's what his mood is. You know, Satyabhama and Rukmani, the moods are very different to serve Krishna. Satyabhama also serving Krishna, Radharani serving Krishna, Chaitanya serving Krishna, Rukmani serving Krishna. Now, Rukmani is in the mood of Lakshmi Devi, because Satyabhama is a mood of left wing. Jagadanand Pandit is in the left wing, actually. Now, Raghunath Das Goswami, he says, the right wing. He's also in the left wing, but in a right mood. So, probably have to understand the context first before you jump to the books.
Okay.
There's a whole seminar topic.
Yeah.
Different theories are there. But simple thing, Prabhupada said, don't worry about how you got here, get out. And that's what we are trying. Okay.
Yes,
I'm looking at Prasannatma Prabhu, and he's looking at me. One day he also asked the similar question, I remember. Soul's journey to the material world. Everyone is very curious. Isn't it, Prasannatma Prabhu? I remember. Huh? Yeah, I remember.
I forgot it. Yeah.
No, I remember because I was answering. And I could not do justice. It's very hard to do justice in these sort of classes to these questions. And in one sense, Prabhupada said, we cannot do justice because we are not ready to receive that as yet. We're not ready. Like many pastimes of Krishna, we just cannot understand. And we should not try to understand. Many times it's actually prohibited to read Ras Panchadhyayis. It's written, do not read. It's a part of Bhagavatam, but it's written, not read. Why? We are not ready. We are not ready yet. So there's no surprise, actually. For some knowledge, we are not ready. Your kids will not read everything what Papa is reading. Papa is I'm looking at Manmohan Prabhu, is a specialist in his area. Now kid is asking, why? And Papa will say, beta, just study your year 4 syllabus or year 5 syllabus. Once you come here, beta, I will explain you. So the children are not ready at this stage, but tomorrow they may be ready. That's no problem. Okay, let's move forward in 14.4, which is a similar verse and a very popular verse. And I hope Rupam Prabhu list has this verse. If not, please put in your personal list. It's a very important verse. And Rupam
Okay,
Prabhu.
Prabhu,
Yes,
shall I
Prabhu.
read? Or?
Yes, Prabhu, you can read.
Sarvayoneshu Kaunteya.
Sarvayoneshu Kaunteya.
Murtaya Sambhavantiya.
Murtaya Sambhavantiya.
Tasam Brahma Mahadyonis.
Tasam Brahma Mahadionir.
Aham Bija Pradhapita.
Aham Bija Pradhapita.
Translation. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, similar theme is explained here. Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. Sarva Yonish, Prabhupada writes, in all species of life, Kaunteya, Arjun, Murtaya. Murtaya refers to the form. Sambhavanti means sambhav hona. In Hindi, how they become. So, how all these living beings in different species takes place. Tasam Brahma Mahad Yonir. Similar words are used in the previous verse and in this verse. Tasam Mahad Yonir. So if I put 14.3 here, Mam Yonir Mahad Brahma. So similar things you can see in 3 and 4. Aham Bija Pradapta. This is the most important word you can say. Aham means me, Krishna. Bija Prada, I am the seed-giving father. And this sort of quotation is used, you'll hear from so many different speakers again and again. Krishna is the seed-giving father. So our theory of evolution as per Prabhupada is not the theory of body's evolution is the soul's evolution. Prabhupada said, soul goes into different bodies. If your consciousness is good, you'll be provided a higher body, which has a higher consciousness. If your consciousness is low, you'll be provided a lower body. And we'll read all this in this chapter. Okay, let's move to 14.5. Now, Krishna will start describing the modes of material nature. Rupam Prabhu, you're the next in my screen.
Sattvam rajastama iti.
Sattvam rajastama iti.
Guna prakriti sambhava.
Gunaha prakriti sambhavaha.
Nibadhvanti mahabaho.
Nibadhananti mahabaho.
Dehe dehinam avyayam.
Dehe dehinam avyayam.
Translation. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes.
Thank you. So this is where sort of he starts talking about this Sattva, Raja, and Tama, first time in this chapter. After describing two topics so far, anyone remembers what the two topics we read in this chapter so far? So the glories of the knowledge and how souls get inside the material nature. When it gets inside, now Krishna describes Sattva, Raja, and Tama. So Sattva refers to mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Gunaha, which are these three modes. Prakriti Sambhava. Where do they come from? From Prakriti. Prakriti means material nature. So they are born from material nature. What do they do? So, okay, so they come from there. What do they do? So these thieves come from, in a particular state, in a particular country. They come from, okay, what do these thieves do? Nibadhanti, they bind. Mahabaho. Acharyas describe what's the meaning of Mahabaho. Obviously, Arjun, definitely Arjun. But what does it mean, Mahabaho? Mahabaho refers to your Mahabaho. You are very, very brave. But these thieves are so brave, they can even bind you. So we should not be very proud. Yeah? I am so great. No, even the greatest of the one, Vidvanam api karshati. Srimad Bhagavatam says in 11th canto that even if you're a Vidwan, even if you're very scholarly, very knowledgeable, you may get attracted to Maya. So beware of Maya. It says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sadhu Savdhan. Savdhan means be alert. Prabhupada said many times, I have two complaints. So Prabhupada said, I have two complaints many times. He says, I have one complaint. My disciples are not reading my books enough. They are distributing, but they're not. Prabhu, take Bhagavad Gita, take Bhagavad Gita, take Bhagavad Gita. Are Prabhuji, are you reading Bhagavad Gita as well? So that means the Bhagavad Gita is not to be just given. It has to be read, understood, and applied. Second complaint, so-called complaint Prabhupada had, my disciples are not enough fearful of Maya. They are too much daring. And sometimes, one time Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, will you ever fall in Maya? Prabhupada said, no, I will never fall in Maya. And next morning, Prabhupada was standing in front of deities with folded hands and praying to deities very intensely. Hey, Srimati Radharani, let me not fall into Maya. So he is praying to Srimati Radharani that please help me not to fall into Maya. And disciples said, but Prabhupada, you said you will not fall into Maya. And Prabhupada's answer was, because I'm praying to deities, I will not fall into Maya. And many times we don't make such prayers thinking that we are very strong. My Guru Maharaj said, we are not so strong devotees. We are devotees. Maharaj said, we are weak devotees. So our journey is not like from non-devotee to devotee. We do something for Krishna, but we are weak devotees. So from weak, we have to become a strong devotee. So that's a very nice point. So we cannot say we are not devotees, but at the same time, are we real devotees? No. So we are weak devotees and we should become strong devotees. So what do these thieves do? They bind even the greatest one, One example comes to my mind, I'll say very quickly, and you might know already. Vyasadeva was sort of dictating the Shastra, and one of his disciples was Gemini Rishi, if you have heard this name, Gemini. So Gemini Rishi was a very, very great Rishi, and Vyasadev's personal secretary, assistant, you can say, one of his leading disciples. And he was writing that we should be aware of woman, Maya in the form of woman, something like that, he said. And Gemini Rishi said, but sadhus are not impacted by that. And Vyasadeva smiled, he said, no, please write. And Gemini Rishi said, my dear Guru Maharaj, I'm not fully convinced that everyone will be impacted by this. So Vyasadeva said, okay, no problem. If you're not fully convinced, that's fine. Let's postpone the class today. We'll restart the session tomorrow. So Jamni Rishi was happy. He went home. He did his Gayatri and all that, and he slept. That night was a very sort of stormy night, rainy night. And he said in the middle of the night sometime, he heard a knock on the door. And as soon as he opened the door, Jamni Rishi, very, very leading disciple of Vyasadeva, he opened the door, and what he sees, a woman knocking the door, and she was wearing some clothes, revealing clothes. And this woman said to this Jamni Rishi, this is by Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj in his book about Srimati Radharani, and said to Jamni Rishi, my dear sage, I have no shelter this night. Can you please give me shelter? I'm in your shelter, please give me shelter. So Jamni Rishi thinking, okay, a jiva has come to my door, so I need to help this jiva. So Jamni Rishi said, okay, you please go in the inside room and you please lock the door. And even someone knocks, don't open the door, including me. He's a rishi, so he had his limitation. He said, even if I knock the door, please don't open the door. So this lady went inside the room, and then she was sleeping or whatever. And then Jamni Rishi, because he has seen one glimpse of this lady, that image got stuck in his mind. And he went to the sleep, but he could not sleep. He was thinking again and again about this image which he has seen, just in a lightning. So there was no light there. It was lightning. It was a stormy and rainy night. Just one image he has seen of this lady. And then he just could not sleep. And he wakes up, he starts knocking the door. And this lady asked from inside, who are you? And he said, I'm Jamni Rishi, please open the door. And the lady said, but Jamni Rishi, you said, even if you knock the door, don't open the door. So I will not open the door. And this Rishi got so much agitated in his mind. He just could not tolerate. And he climbed over his own hut. And on the top, there was a hole. And he actually climbed on that hole, and he went inside that room. And the lady said, Jamni Rishi, why are you here? And Jamni Rishi said, will you marry me? And this lady said, okay. But in our culture, there's a tradition which the person has to follow whom you want to marry with. So if you follow that tradition, I'm happy to marry with you. And Jamni Rishi said, any culture, any tradition, I'm happy to follow. This lady said, you have to become like a ghoda, like a horse, and you have to carry me on your back to the temple of Durgaji, which is only 1 kilometer away. And Jamni Rishi said, is that all? No problem. So he became like a horse, man horse. The lady sat on the back, and he is carrying the lady in the stormy, rainy night to the Durgaji temple. And his knees are bleeding, his hands are bleeding. He's still going. Finally, he arrived to Durga temple with half of the body in blood. And then he said, Aa gaya. The temple is here. Please get down now. Will you marry me? And she said, of course, I'll marry you. And she gets down. Jamni Rishi gets up. And who was there? Vyasadeva with his big beard. So Vyasadeva has taken the form of this beautiful lady because Jamni Rishi was not convinced in writing that line. And when Jamni Rishi saw his own spiritual master in this condition, you can imagine his mental situation. What would he be thinking? So much embarrassed that, let the earth open and I fall into the earth. Something like that. So this is Shastra, Vidwanam api karshati. So we should not transgress the Shastra, because Shastra cannot be wrong. It is aparushe. Our understanding of the Shastra can be wrong. Shastra cannot be wrong. And that's why if we don't understand, we should approach our authorities, our Guru Maharaj, and say, yes, this is Shastra. I don't understand it. Please explain me. That's fine. Tadviti Pranipatin. You can ask your spiritual master or your spiritual teachers that I don't understand this. But the point is, Mahabaho, no matter how great we are in terms of material knowledge, material intellect, material rupa, material money, in front of Maya, it's nothing. It's nothing. And that, I'll just complete the story. And that point, Vyasadeva said, so any doubts? Jamni, she said, let's go to the classroom right now. Vyasadeva said, no, we'll start tomorrow. He said, no, go right now. I will write it. And Jamni, she wrote that line. that, even Vidwan, even scholarly people have to be very careful of Maya, very, very careful of Maya. It doesn't matter how great you are. Maya is very strong unless you take shelter of Krishna. So Nibadanti Mahabaho, they bind everyone. So Krishna is sort of giving a caution to Arjuna. Arjuna, although you are Mahabaho, you are very strong, but be careful. Dehe Dehinam Avyam. So for the living entity. I'll read the translation of Prabhupada again. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, ignorance. When the eternal living entity, so living entity is eternal, is Avyaya. Living entity comes in contact with nature, which we read in verse 3 and 4. O mighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. I see a hand. Priya Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, when we talk about the three modes, we see a lot of devatas who fall down, like Indra, comes to mind when he does, he has becomes, false ego becomes, arises. So does that mean he is binded by
Yes,
that,
yes,
his
Mataji.
body?
And we'll read
He's not
about that.
his soul, but the body, yeah.
Yeah, yes. So that soul is conditioned. So Indra also has a soul. He's conditioned. So we'll talk about this, Mataji, this whole chapter of demigods and humans as we progress. But you're right. So this Indra is bound with mode of goodness primarily, but at the same time, Krishna will describe in verse 13 or 12, I can't remember the number, but it says these modes are not static. They're constantly changing their position. So right now you may be in mode of goodness. After 5 minutes, you may be in mode of passion. And then soon after that, you may be in mode of ignorance. I'll give you one simple example, which we can all relate with. Keshav Maharaj recently was giving a class, so I heard Maharaj class. Maharaj was saying, devotees get 7 hours sleep, 6 hours in the night, 1 hour in the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we all sleep in the Bhagavatam class. I'm not saying you are sleeping, but we all sleep sometime or other. How do we start the class? All of us, to be very honest, when we start a class, we are very enthusiastic. Bhagavatam class, third canto, second chapter, this verse. We're all enthusiastic. So we are in mode of goodness. We want to learn what this Prabhu or Mataji is saying. As soon as the class starts, we get into a little bit of mode of passion. When this Hemanga Chaitanya will stop, it's already 5 or 6. He keeps speaking till 6 o'clock. I have to do so many activities. That means mode of passion is rising in our head. And while we are contemplating on all the tasks which we have to do after 6 p.m. when this class stops, we go in mode of ignorance. So it says 2 persons are calmly sitting in the class. 1 person, mode of goodness, listening the class. Another person also calmly sitting in the class who is sleeping in the class. So externally, they both look same, but internally, there's a huge difference. And we'll read about it. Some people are in mode of goodness. They're very shant, very peaceful, calm, and composed. Another person is also very shant, peaceful, and composed. But the first one wants to do the activity. Second one, chalega. Kal karenge. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow comes. Prabhuji, you said tomorrow. Abhi tomorrow nahi aaya na. The tomorrow hasn't come. We'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow. Keep postponing. Prospective. So yes, Mataji, you're right. So Indra, which is primarily in mode of goodness, comes into mode of ignorance. He takes the form. He disguises himself as Gautam Rishi. Goes to Ahilya. One example. And he does all this activity. Yes, is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. So he can be in 2 different modes, like
Yes, every one of
goodness
us,
and passion.
every one of us,
Yeah.
Mataji. So humans
Yeah.
primarily is in mode of passion, primarily speaking. But again, many humans are super good. Many humans are devotees, so they are in transcendence. So humans generally are in mode of passion. Devatas are generally in mode of goodness, generally speaking. Animals or asuras, they are considered generally in mode of ignorance. But within that, there is a range. There is not like one certification. Okay, Indra is in mode of goodness, so he'll always be in mode of goodness. No, nothing like that. And same applies with us as well. And we can all experience. And if you want to take some certification, ask your family members. They will tell you which time you are in which mode. We may feel we are always in transcendence, but they will tell you, Hare Krishna, excuse me. Really? They will tell you which mode we are in. It says
So
Lord Ram. Yes, Mataji.
Yes. No, no,
I'll
yes,
just
got it.
explain. This is very nice example from Ramayana. It says, Lord Ram was such a king that his immediate personal servants and assistants were fully satisfied in being servant of Lord Ram. And the example is given because many times we may be a different person to the outside world than to our inner world, which are like close family members. And we can see in the life of Prabhupada or life of Lord Ram, they were completely same person inside and out. We have different personalities. So I say, if you want to know a person's majority of the moods, the close ones can tell you. So, but the Lord Ram's close associate would also certify him is the best person all the time. So we change. Right now, we may be in a different mode. After the class, we'll be in a different mode. But Lord Ram or Srila Prabhupada, just immediate examples, and there are many more who are always the same, always the same. One person, some American-bodied person, I heard this pastor, beautiful pastor, just on the same point. When he heard Prabhupada, he was a little apprehensive. This Swami, this Hindu Swami, Indian Swami, what he's teaching and all that. But he wanted to check Prabhupada out. He wanted to check Prabhupada. Different people have different criteria. So he said, I want to serve Prabhupada, he said to some of the disciples, and I can drive Prabhupada. So he was saying, 1 week, I want to test this Swami. That's what his initial purpose was. So he wanted to test this Swami. So he lived with Prabhupada, practically speaking, for 1 week. He drove his car and he did some menial service for Prabhupada. And after a week, he said, I'm fully convinced this person is fully same inside and out. And he said, I joined Prabhupada. He became disciple. A week or two later, he was fully convinced. He said, this person is not trying to impress someone. His person is not like presenting something outside than what is inside. I've seen this person at night, 10 o'clock. I've seen this person at 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. I've seen this person in speaking to hundreds of people. I've seen this person dealing with me one-to-one. He is same all the time. This is why devotees are beyond modes of material nature, which we are not. Can we guarantee ourselves will not be demons today? No one can do that. Sorry, Priya Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. So basically, I was actually going to also ask that I was very much into like my personal thing. Like I had a desire to do something other spiritual activity, Prabhuji. I'll be very honest, and I didn't want to attend Bhakti Shastri because I really wanted to do something else.
Thank you for your
So
honesty.
I really wanted to, like, because we had Jula and Yatra, so I wanted to stay back and help there. So I had a real so would I then, what would you say if someone is like
In that
trying to,
situation.
who
Okay.
wants to, do that sort of thing, but then that is also important, that spiritual activity, but their desire is somewhere else.
Okay, so I will let Radhanath Maharaj speak on this question. He gives this example, so I'll tell what Maharaj said. So Maharaj was giving Bhagavatam class in Mumbai some time ago. So some devotees were made in charge of building another temple in Mumbai. This is a few years ago I'm talking. And these devotees had to leave home like 6 a.m. Because their work was very tough. They have to look after this construction site day and night. So they will leave pretty early. So they will have this, and that particular time when Maharaj is not always there. Maharaj is always roaming here and there. His schedule is pretty tight. So I think for 10 days or something, Maharaj was in Mumbai and he was giving Bhagavatam class practically every day. So these devotees were quite morose that they have to leave their Guru Maharaj's class and go to this construction site, look at the bricks and cement and all that, which doesn't look initially a spiritual activity, initially speaking. So some devotees stayed back in class one day and Maharaj saw them. Radhanath Maharaj, and then he saw them and he understood the intention and he said, even if you're, I'm just paraphrasing Maharaj's word, but he said something like that. And he said, even if your spiritual master is speaking, but he has given you a seva, it's more important to perform the seva than to hear a spiritual master, because the seva is also given by your spiritual master. So, and another occasion, Radhanath Maharaj himself said, whatever sevas we are committed to on a regular basis, that's what Maharaj said, we should commit to them again and again, unless there is a change there. You understand? So if we are committed to some regular seva, we should not interrupt the regular seva. So because seva is everything. I understand that many sevas can come up. If you're committed to one particular seva, if you're cooking every Tuesday night, for example, a different speaker come which you love to hear from, you're committed to Radha Gopinath seva, that seva, you should follow that commitment as the primary one. That's what Radhanath Maharaj said. Okay, you happy now?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Sorry,
Yes,
I just
Prabhuji.
let Maharaj speak instead of me speaking. Okay, Sakhi Radhika Mataji, you want to add something on that? She is also Maharaj's disciple.
Just wanted to ask one thing. I'm just curious. Like you were telling that Prabhupada was always the same. We talked about how we start with the class in mode of goodness and end up in, that
Ignorance.
was really my
Oppression.
is after 5 children are after me, give food, and I'm like, yeah, give me 2 minutes. So, just wanted to ask Prabhu, what does it mean? How a devotee like Maharaj is, they hear, like what is what is beyond the material nature, in which consciousness do they hear? I would just like to know it.
Okay. Which conscious? So Prabhupada answers this question. So Prabhupada was once asked, you're asking a similar question. Prabhupada was once asked, how do we know we are advancing in devotional life? Now we may all feel with all humility that we are not advancing. Does anyone feel or no? I'm not sure. I feel like that. I'm exactly the same where I was. Sometimes actually I feel I have more, bad qualities than ever before. Anyway, so that's one point of mindset. Another point of mindset, we may feel we are pure devotees. I'm not sure in this group anyone is like that, but some people have that notion. Anyway, Prabhupada answered that question. He said, how do you know you're advancing? He said, you will know you're advancing. And how do you know you're advancing? If your ruchi in Vasudev Katha is increasing, you're advancing. Simple as that. So one definition, as I've said, one definition is if your ruchi, if your taste in listening Katha is increasing, you're advancing. You cannot live without Katha. Katha should become your default home. Huh? Like some people, I'm just saying, some may like cricket. So anywhere they go, they like to hear the cricket commentary. How many runs Sachin has made yet? Is Sachin out or not out? The whole day, their mental home will be that cricket match. Where is our mental home? That's what will define. If a mental home, if a problem comes, first thing we think about Gopinath or money or our connection in the society. I know that Prabhuji, he knows that MP, MLA. Where does our first mindset go? And be honest in our mindset. We go to astrologer, we go to some Baba, we go to this Prabhu or that Prabhu. Huh? Where is our mental mindset? So Prabhupada said once, another time Prabhupada said, which is also very relevant to actually most of us, Prabhupada said, the devotees around you will let you know you're advancing or no. So many times devotees will let you know they like your service or they don't. Now, I'm not saying for every single devotee, you cannot satisfy everyone. Even Radhanath Maharaj said, you cannot satisfy everyone. But generally, devotees will say, oh, you cook very nicely. So maybe Krishna is giving a message to us that maybe I should increase my cooking skills. You sing nicely, or you dress the deities very nicely. You give class nicely. Whatever seva, they're all sevas. So devotees will let you know which seva you are good at. And in your heart, you will feel satisfied in doing that seva. And you will see you are growing. So these Maharajas hear this in a very different terms. And another time, actually, Radhanath Maharaj also said, Radheshyam Prabhu asked this question to His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj in private, one-to-one conversation. And he asked, Maharaj, you always keep quoting the Sikshashtakam verse 3 in your classes. Is there anything beyond this? Maharaj smiled and said to Radheshyam Prabhu, Asli Seva Padratam Pinastumam. Verse 8 of Sikshashtakam, that is the pinnacle. But he said, right now, you can practice verse 3. And I was hearing this conversation from Radheshyam Prabhu, and I was thinking, Radheshyam Prabhu, practicing verse 3, what should I do? Where do we stand? Where do we stand? Really, verse 3 is the minimum? Wow, verse 8 is the maximum? Where are we? Verse 3 sounds so difficult, so difficult. My Guru Maharaj also mentioned that. So they hear, Mataji, you can say in verse 8, consciousness. They are translated. They have so much ruchi in the katha. And that's where we can also measure our advancement in one sense, and others as well. If you sit to some other devotee and they're talking about, interest rates and property market and all that, just after the katha or cricket match, you know where their latest interest is. Or they're talking about Krishna Katha. That's why Rupa Goswami says you should always associate with some senior Vaishnavas who can inspire you to go higher in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, everyone is a devotee.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm not sure whether I answered your question
Well,
correctly.
I got a little idea.
Got
Just
the
of
little idea.
that, Radhesham Prabhu was telling in like detail about the conversation.
Yes.
And he was telling that Maharaj said, I don't know about you, after 40 years of following Krishna consciousness of my life, I am still trying to practice on number 3.
Hari bol.
So we should, like, I was thinking, like Maharaj was saying that if you even do the first one, marginam can happen, then it's a very good beginning. He was, rather, Shampru was telling for us
Yes.
that like even marginam, if you are doing nicely, that's a very good beginning. So a sannyasi of that caliber is saying, I'm on number 3. So it's a
Correct,
long
correct.
way to go.
Long way, long way. I hope everyone is understanding the context here. So we're talking Shastakam verse 3 and verse 8, which is, as per Maharaj, is the highest verse. Thank you, Mataji, for bringing that up for struggling sadhakas like me. So much struggle in devotion life. Okay, so can we move on to verse 6? So we understand this a little bit about, you can say, their job profile, you can say, of these modes of material nature. Where do they come from? They come from material nature. And what do? They bind. Now, let's see their little bit characteristic, the beginning of it. And Krishna will detail the characteristic later as well. So 14.6. Priya Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Tattvam rajas tama iti.
Mataji, 14.6.
14.6.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. That's 14.
That's okay.
Tatra sattvam nirmal latvat.
Tatra sattvam nirmalatvad.
Prakashakam anamayam mayam.
Prakashakam anamayam.
Sukha sangena badnanti.
Sukha sangena badhanati.
Jnana sangena chanagha.
Jnana sangena chanagha.
Translation: O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Tatra Sattva. So, starting from the Sattva, mode of goodness, Nirmalatvad. So, Nirmal. So, Mal means Gandgi, some sort of contamination. Nirmala or Amal. Bhagavatam is known as Amal Puran. Nirmal is no mala. Now, look at the Prabhupada translation. I was reading it. So nicely, Prabhupada has written Nirmal not as Amal. He's saying being purest in the material world. In the translation, Prabhupada says being purer than the others. Now you could say, oh, Nirmal means, just pure. No, Prabhupada is comparing. Why? We'll see in the 4th line. Jnana sangena, sukha sangena, badhanati. Because even the mode of goodness, what is he doing? Badhanati. Badhanati means bandh raha hai. He is binding you. So although it's Nirmala, but it's just a relative Nirmala. And we'll see how long it lasts. So Nirmalatva, that's one characteristic, is being purer than others. Prakasham, Prakash is illuminating. Anamayam, Anamayam is sinless. Now you will see a different word in 3.13. Yajnashishtasana santo muchante sarukhelbeshai bhujate te tu agham papam. So there's a word called agha. And here you see anamayam, anamayam without any sinful reaction. So agha also refers to agha or pap. And here's anamayam, without any sinful reaction. So 1, nirmalatvat, prakasham, illumination, anamayam. Why it's anamayam without sinful reactions? Not it's a default of the mode of goodness. this is what results in following mode of goodness. Why? Because if you are in mode of goodness, you will not do too many sinful activities, right? Because you're in mode of goodness. You are illuminated, you are nirmal, you are pure. So because you are pure and illuminated, will you like hurt other living entities? Will you steal others' property and all those things? So if you don't do this, then what happens? The result is anamayam. You will be without sinful reactions. So it's not a default of the goodness, it's the default of following goodness and then resulting in no sinful reactions. And then when no sinful reaction happens, what's the result of that? Sukha sangena. You'll feel sukha, isn't it? Because your bodily miseries will be less. So your adhi bhautik miseries will be less. Adhi bhautik miseries, anyone remembers? What does it mean? Miseries given by other living entities, which many times we get a lot. Adi bhautik. Sometimes we are worried for our adhyatmic miseries, but many times we are worried about adi bhautik. Boss is very bad, neighbor is very bad, this machars are very bad, so many bad things around us. So because you are anamayam, the reactions are less or practically non-existent, sukha sangena, and because of that you have you have a feeling of sukha badhanati, you are bound. And Prabhupada gives a famous example of golden chain, silver chain, and iron chain. We are all bound. Whether you are bound with golden chain refers to mode of goodness. Silver chain means mode of passion, and iron chain means mode of ignorance. We are all bound. If you are bound with golden chain, can I say you are free? No, you're not free. Although your chain are made up of gold. So badhanati. So badhanati word will be used in all three verses for all three modes. So this is a pure jnana sangyana. And also in that mode, you have some jnana. So you are conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. With the knowledge, you think, I am clever than others. My material projects are getting successful. Look at this person. He's so sinful. Because of that, he's suffering so much. Many times we see others like that. But it says in devotional realm, everything is Krishna's arrangement. When Maharaj was saying, as soon as we come and take shelter of Krishna, Krishna takes charge of you instead of Maya. And it's a great difference between Krishna taking charge and Maya taking charge. An example given, I think it's by Radheshyam Prabhu. When you steal something, a police is beating you because you have stolen something. And if you steal something, your mother come to know and mother is beating you. Is there a difference between mother beating a child and police beating a child? There's a great difference. So here police is like Maya Devi. So Maya Devi giving reactions. It's like a police giving reaction. They will have no mercy, left, right, center, top, bottom, wherever they will get. And if they are frustrated on that day, this thief will be gone. But if mother beating a child, she's also maybe slapping and all that, saying some harsh words. But her slap and her words will have so much love and affection within that. So that is like Krishna beating. So when the devotee is suffering, it's like mother beating a child. There's so much love is there. I really want my child to get reform of this stealing habit, for example. When Mother Yashoda punishing Krishna, what's her intention? Is to punish Krishna or to get rid of the habit, bad habit, as per Mother Yashoda. It's not to punish Krishna. She actually never punished Krishna. She had the stick in her hand, and Krishna started crying so much, she threw that stick. So there's a great difference. Jnana Sangyena Chanaga. Okay, let's read mode of passion. 14.7. Where I am. This keeps changing. Oh, Prasannatma Prabhu has a question.
Prabhu, just wanted to know, like, we are all conditioned with different modes.
Yes.
So when we are chanting, are we chanting in that particular mode then?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice question. Devotees always ask this question. Yes, Prabhuji, our devotional service, which includes chanting, can also be in different modes of material nature, which we are in. Like chanting the holy name is completely transcendental. Golokere premadhana harinama sankirtana. It has come from Goloka. But when we, a conditioned soul, for example, conditioned by mode of ignorance or passion, chanting, so that devotional service, chanting or even serving the Lord in different ways, you're serving, cleaning the temple or giving class, also doing kirtan, whatever. That service can be done in these modes. You understand? So yes, Prabhuji, you're right. So it depends on the person. Radhanath Maharaj chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and I am chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Huge difference. because he's chanting the pure name of the Lord, and I'm chanting as per my conditioning. Is that okay?
But how do we transcend then, Prabhu? But because
this is what we are reading the chapter.
Our characters, we as is say prarabdha karma will be there, and our qualities will be there in this life. So we'll try to chant in that particular way only, because I can't change the way I think. So how do we get out of it? Like, you know, even if I do some service, that service way I'll do like that, you know, throughout my life. I don't know. I'm just thinking like that.
No, you're right, Prabhuji, and that's what we are reading throughout this chapter, how to get out of this. Now, when you said, Prabhuji, we can't change the thinking, the answer is actually we can change our thinking. That's why we are saying the modes does not compel us, modes impel us. Impel means anger comes, I will impel to say something, you know, Prabhuji, you're wrong, and this was not true, and that's blah, blah, blah. Or I may stop and do something. So our reaction changes, Prabhuji, as we are progressing. And the seva which we are doing, if it is given by our spiritual master or spiritual authority, and we are doing in the sense of pleasing them, not pleasing us. Like if I give class and, you know, I get a lot of clappings and a lot of glory in the class, for example, and I think, actually, you know what, I'm such a great speaker. I am loved by all the devotees, this and that. So do you think it's a seva in mode of transcendence or in mode of passion and ignorance? It's a seva. But if I have done the seva, and I may receive the glories after the seva, but I think, no, all glories to my Guru Maharaj and to my authorities from which I have learned this knowledge, and I'm sharing this knowledge with my devotee fellows. That becomes in mode of transcendence. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Okay.
And how do we change, Prabhu? Slowly the journey will happen. Slowly, every day we have to sort of beat our mind and tell our mind that this seva I'm not doing for my sense gratification, is doing for the pleasure of Lord and Guru Maharaj or similar representatives. So if we do the seva in that mode, the purification will be much faster. If we take the benefits of bhakti, which will come to us, people will sort of acknowledge you, will give you garland. And Radhanath Maharaj also says, once we start coming to the temple, we feel everyone is a devotee except me. And after some years, you know, we become some das, we get initiated. And we get some das, and then everyone starts calling you Prabhu, Prabhu, Prabhu. And then Radhanath Maharaj says, after a few years, you start competing with Mahaprabhu. And then you start thinking, why others are not glorifying me? So it's a journey, Prabhu, and it depends how seriously or sincerely you're taking this journey and applying that knowledge on us. And then the purification will happen accordingly. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathai bhajamyaham. And that's why you see, Prabhuji, many devotees come in Krishna consciousness, they improve very fast. And some even after 20 years, taken 2 initiations and all that, there's practically no change in their nature, the way they will speak, the way they behave with other devotees, no change at all. Because they are not applying the principles. They may be reading it, they're not applying it.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Okay. So we need a lot of grace and a lot of sincerity in applying this, and that's why we are always after Vaishnava's mercy. Okay, Mataji, Vijay Gopi Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yesterday we were listening in the Ishtagoshi Radhanath Maharaj's lecture, and that he was telling, like, he was first given a service of cleaning the gutter, and then he was saying that my attitude was the same, and then after a few years now I'm giving a class to thousands of devotees, but still my mood is the same, like, you know, whether I'm cleaning the gutter, I'm giving the class, my attitude is I'm just pleasing my Guru Maharaj. Whatever service is given to me, I'm just trying to please my Guru Maharaj. So I'm happy to even clean the gutter also.
Yeah. So if we have that attitude, the purification will be very, very fast. If we have the attitude of taking the results of that service to ourselves, like take the credit when devotees glorify you, then the purification is not much. Purification is definitely there when you're serving the Lord, definitely there, but the purification is not much. And then you may be a big speaker or a big kirtanier or whatever big you want to say, but because you're taking the credit on your head, you're not taking, oh, it's a service to my Guru Maharaj. After giving class, will my Guru Maharaj be pleased by this service? If yes, then that activity will purify us a lot, and then we'll go very fast. Okay. Thank you, Mataji, for adding that, and thank you, Prasannatma Prabhu, for raising that question, because we all struggle with that. We are all reading Bhagavad Gita, doing some sevas, but many times, we cannot change our emotional set inside. Okay, let's move forward. 14.7, the screen is completely changed. Who hasn't done as yet? I would prefer if they want to do 14.7.
Can I do it, Prabhuji?
Sure.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi.
Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi.
Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam.
Krishna Sangha Samudbhavam.
Tan Nibadnati Kaunteya.
Tan Nibadhanti Kaunteya.
Karma Sangena Dehinam.
Karma Sangena Dehinam.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So Rajo, which is talking the second one, mode of passion, Raga Atmakam Vidhi. So Raga Atmakam, Prabhupada translates as born of desire or lust. So Vidhi means, please know that Rajo, mode of passion, is born out of desires. So Prabhupada writes in the translation, is born of unlimited desires and longings. So we have so many desires to fulfill. So we hardly have time for Krishna. Sometimes we say we have no time for Krishna because you are busy in so much in the material world fulfilling your material desires. So Trishna, Sangha, Samudbhavan. So word Trishna, anyone knows the meaning of Trishna? Hankering. So hankering, why do we hanker? What we don't have. We don't have a particular car, for example, I don't know, some form of BMW or whatever. Oh, mere neighbor ke paas hai. My neighbor has this car. So you may have Trishna in your mind. Trishna means hankering for those. And Sangha refers to attachment. Whom do you have attachment with? What you have. Suppose you have, a particular model of BMW, and I don't know any models. So you are attached to that. And what model you don't have, you are hankering for that. That's what happens in our life. You don't have iPhone 15, I don't know whether it exists. And you only have iPhone 4, for example. So you're attached to iPhone 4 and you have Trishna for iPhone 14 or 15, whatever it is. So Trishna and Sangha, and many times we can also put this verse on us. Do we have Trishna? Do we have Sangha? And we all can answer that very nicely. How much Trishna we have and how much Sangha we have. Now Trishna should be for Vaishnava Sangha. How can I get into the association of devotees? How can I hear Krishna Katha? Bibi Govind Maharaj, he came to Sydney many years ago, and I think I've given this example, but I love this example. Maharaj gave this example in a Bhagavatam class in Sydney, so I'm just repeating Maharaj example. He said, he speaks very well Hindi, if you didn't know. So he said in Hindi, do you know who is Makhi Chus? He says one is Kanjus, one is Makhi Chus. Kanjus means a miser person. A miser person, when a makhi, a fly, goes in the glass of milk, a normal person will throw the whole glass of milk away. A miser person will take the makhi out, will take the fly out and drink the glass. And what a Makhi Chus will do, I don't need to say in the class. You understand. Mohit Prabhu is laughing. He will take the makhi out. He will do something to the makhi and then drink the milk. So Maharaj gave this example, laughing at him. Then Maharaj said, this is how we should, Maharaj said, we should become Makhi Chus, not Kanjus. He said, we should become Makhi Chus. And we are like, what? He said, Makhi Chus for Krishna Katha. Anywhere, anytime you're getting some Krishna Katha, some association of devotees, you should be so eager, so eager. How can I get Krishna? How can I get Krishna? How can I get Krishna? He said, Lolyam api ekam mulyam. So lolyam is lalach, greed. Greed is the only price which you have to pay to become a devotee. If you're not greedy, you cannot become devotee. So we're all greedy. Greedy for what? That's what matters. Greedy for material possessions, material hankerings, or Krishna. So Maharaj basically was saying we should become very much eager to get Krishna. And then we become very eager, then we'll get Krishna. So Trishna, Sangha, Samudbhavan. So this materialistic person is always after those things which he doesn't have, and Sangha is very much attached to what he has. So it's constantly struggling with these material desires. Tan Nibnati. And that's how he get bound. Karma Sangha, yes. And Trishna and Sangha will lead to what? Karma. Trishna means you are hankering. Suppose you want a car. Anyone knows any car which costs, I don't know, $1 million or something? I don't know. Sundar Gopal Prabhu thinking. Anyway, whatever, a Porsche or something, I don't know how much it costs. So if a car costs you $500,000, will you have to work for it? Yes or no? Yes, you have to work for it because you need $500,000 to buy that car. and you have a car which costs say $100,000. Sangha, you have to maintain the car. For maintenance also, it needs karma, activity. Huh? So these people are bound with the activities. Activities for what? Trishna and Sangha. Huh? To maintain what they have and always hankering for what they don't have. That's why Prabhupada writes, the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. And because of this, embodied living entity is bound to the material fruitive actions. Karma sangena dehinam. Now let's look at the third mode, which is the Tama. Who is next? Rupam Prabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Tamastva ajnana gyam vidhi.
Tamastva ajnana jam vidhi.
Mohanam sarvadehinam.
Mohanam sarvadehinam.
Pramadalasya nidrabhis.
Pramadalasya nidrabhis.
Tanni badhanti bharata.
Tanni badhanati bharata.
Translation. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness born out of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. So tamastva ajnana jam vidhi. So tamas, mode of ignorance, is jam, born of where? Ajnana. So what is ajnana translation? Ignorance. What is the tama translation? Ignorance. So mode of ignorance is born of mode of ignorance. This is a pretty self-explanatory. Basically, if you are in mode of ignorance, you go deeper into mode of ignorance. An example given, if a person has some problems and he thinks by drinking alcohol, my problems will go away, which many people do, right? Will the problem go away? No, he will get more problem, huh? Because his body will also be destroyed, his money will be destroyed, and then whatever he will do in a drunkard state, that is also another problem. His original problem A, it still remains A, and he gets more problems. So A becomes A square. So that's why it's called mode of ignorance is born of ignorance. Okay. Whatever actions he does in mode of ignorance, they actually lead to some sort of destruction. And the examples, pramad. Pramad means madness. So actually mad means madness. Pramad means, anyone knows? Pura pagal. Not adha pagal, not half pagal. Vijay Gopi Mataji laughing, I don't know. I understand.
Yes, Prabhu, you said super madness.
Super madness. Okay, madness is square. Huh? So pramad, prakarshen mad. Prakarshen means complete. Huh? Complete madness. Huh? Again, Radhanath Maharaj says in this material world, the most common, the common sense is the most uncommon thing in the material world. Common sense. Many times, just a simple thing. Why are you disagreeing with it? Huh? Many times we all come across with such a simple thing you don't understand. But that's why people are disagreed with, huh? They will just not understand you. Like, come on, huh? It's just a simple thing. Just by little cooperations, we can do so many nice things. But they don't. Anyway, pramada, huh? And you can see that people are full in this material world with pramada. Alasya, alasya, everyone understand? We all go through it when the alarms goes off at 3:35 a.m. in the morning. And the call comes, today is Ekadashi, let's go to Mangala Aarti. And you're like, is it necessary to go this Mangala Aarti? Why not next Mangala Aarti? Huh? We'll go in Damodar Mas. In Damodar Mas, Mangala Aarti, alarm goes off. Next Purushottam Mas will be better. So, alasya, we all go through. Nidra base. Huh? Nidra refers to sleep. Now, here sleep does not mean your basic sleep. Prabhupada said we all need like 6 hours of sleep, roughly speaking, and some may need more or less, depends on their bodies. But there's a normal amount of sleep and there is over amount of sleep. Some people sleep 14 hours. I'm not sure you have seen, I have seen people sleeping 14 hours, and Prabhupada said a person sleeping so much will become, you know what I'm saying, a bear. They go in hibernation. 14 hours of sleep is too much. But they do. So pramad alas nidrabis tan nibnati bharatas, and they get bound with it. And another word which is given in the second line, which is very beautiful, mohanam sarvadehinam. So word sarv is used. Sarv means all. So it's saying everyone is impacted by mode of ignorance, is bewildered. Mohanam means illusion, bewildered, deluded by mode of ignorance. Now you can say, Are, humko bhi bol raha hai. He's saying to me as well. Yes. We all take nidra. Anyone can say he's like Haridas Thakur, not sleeping. Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami, they will forget sleep. It says Goswamis will forget sleep. Like, wow. We forget to chant, we forget to come for exam, we forget to submit the assignment. Forget to sleep, forget to eat also. Okay, not super difficult, but okay. Forget to sleep. This is such a thing comes anywhere, anytime, especially to Hare Krishna devotees. There's no lack of sleep ever. But Nidra, what does it refer to? Generally, Nidra is in mode of ignorance. So it's considered that we are all impacted. Now, some sort of pramad is also there in the living entity, some sort of alasya is also there. But Nidra, definitely there. That's why I'm saying Mohanam, Sarvadehinam, all the living entities. Okay. Let's read 14.9. What is the result of that? Who hasn't done it? Vinay Prabhu, smiling, first one.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Sattvam sukhe sanjayati.
Rajaha karmani bharata.
Rajaha karmani bharata.
Jnanam abritya tu tamaha.
Jnanam abritya tu tamaha.
Pramade sanjayatuta.
Pramade sanjayate uta.
Translation. O son of Bharata, the modes of goodness condition one to happiness, passion condition one to furtive action and ignorance, covering one's knowledge bind one to madness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is just in one word sort of summary results is giving. So Sattva Sukham Sanjayati. So when you are in Sattva, you feel a kind of happiness within itself. Your life is happy. You are illuminated, as we were reading earlier. There's not much sinful reactions coming to you. So that's one. Raja Karmani, as we say, Trishna and Sangha leads to fruitive actions. Karma Sangena Bharata, if you remember that verse. So Raja Karmani, Bharata, and Jnanam Avratya. Avratya refers to Dhatna, covering. So Gyan is covered in what? In Tamaha. See, in this verse, it's saying Jnanam Avratya will result to what? Pramad. So if you want to come out of Pramad, what you will do? You have to uncover the knowledge. And that's why we're reading Shastra. Because by reading Shastra, in a positive sense, I'm saying, your Agyan will be removed and Jnana will come. Because as Prabhupada said, every single living entity is Jnanmay. We are all pure condition. We are pure souls. We are not conditioned souls. But we are conditioned at this stage. And by reading the Shastra, by doing devotional service to Krishna and to devotees, this Agyan will be uncovered. But here we're saying Jnanam Avratya. So in ignorance, covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. So they all bind. So no matter which mode you are in, they all bind you. 14.10. Someone else? Manmohan Prabhu? Sorry, I'm just naming on the screen.
All right.
Okay, Mohit Prabhuji.
Rajastamascha vibhuya.
Rajastamascha vibhuya.
Sattvam bhavati bharata.
Sattvam bhavati bharata.
Raja sattvam tamascheva.
Raja sattvam tamaschaiva.
Tamasattvam rajastatha.
Tamahasattvam rajastatha.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeat goodness and ignorance, and at the other time, ignorance defeat the goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Thank you.
So now this verse, Krishna is saying how the modes are always competing to win. So it's not like a person in Sattva will always stay in Sattva. We're speaking about Indra, Priyamata is giving the example. So Indra is supposed to be in mode of goodness, but sometimes you see he comes down. Okay? We all in that. So Raja Tamascha Abhibhuya. Abhibhuya means winning over, surpassing, Prabhupada, right? Surpassing. So sometimes Raja will surpass over Tama and Sattva. Sometimes Tama will surpass over Sattva and Raja and other way. So they keep competing with each other. So our morning may start from mode of goodness, and then we go in mode of passion. In the night we go in mode of ignorance. That's why I say when we chant our rounds in the morning, they are relatively better, because the environment is in mode of goodness, your mind is in mode of goodness, you haven't gone through your daily problems and all that. And after 9 o'clock, when you enter into the world, you're in passion. 14:11.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin.
Sarvadvareshu dehesmin.
Prakasha upajayate.
Prakasha upajayate.
Jnanam yata tata vidyat.
Jnanam yada tada vidyad.
Vivritam sattvam itai uta.
Vivrittam sattvam iti uta.
The manifestation of the modes of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge.
So now Krishna is saying, how do you identify that which mode is increasing? So Vivradhe refers to Vradhi. Vradhi means to increase. What is increasing? Sattva is increasing. So if Sattva increase, how you will identify? Sarva Dwareshu. Now how many dwars we have? Anyone knows? Dwar means your body.
9.
Nine doors.
Nine
All of us, by Prakriti, by nature, we have been given this 9 holes by which we sort of interact with the nature. So Sarvadareshu Dehes means, so in this Deha, which we are situated in, they are Sarvadwar. Sarvadwar refers to 9 dwar. What will happen? Prakasha upajayate, it will be illuminated. Now, it's not a physical object of light which will come. It means knowledge, Gyan. So it will be illuminated. You will feel that, what I'm doing is right or wrong. And many times, people have that sense. People have that sense of right and wrongness. Maybe not spirituality here. They have that sense. So Jnanam yada tada vidya. So through the Jnana, through the knowledge, their gates are illuminated. Now let's see, if mode of passion is increasing, what will happen? This is a beautiful verse. Ujjwala Samataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. When we say these 9 gates of the body, they should be illuminated by knowledge. So I can understand the eyes, the ears, the nostrils, the mouth, and the genitals also I can understand because by regulation.
Yes.
What about the anus? How is that illuminated by knowledge?
Okay. Now we are asking some practical questions here. So basically, we are regulating the functioning of those senses. That's what it means. Now, how they will be functions? Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gave one example. Suppose, your tummy has a problem, and you have to go to bathroom again and again, for example. So just by determination, you can't stop. So you say, I'm fully determined now, I'm drad nishchayi. Sattam kirtayanto mam itantasya drad vrata. So I have drad vrata that I'll not go to bathroom, or, I'll not sneeze, or I'll not cough, something like that. So it means regulation, Mataji. It doesn't mean practical things, advanced devotee can also have a stomach problem, and then he may have to use toilet again and again. That's perfectly fine. It means regulation.
Yeah, basically referring to regulation.
Yes, that's all it is. How does it practically translate to? That may differ from situation to situation, person to person. Prasanna Prabhu, want to add something on this?
Yeah, Prabhu, I thought, if like different people in different mode have different, like if you're eating spicy food, if you're passionate, yeah, you'll have difficulty passing, stool and all those things. Someone who is in the mode of goodness, he'll be eating like, fruits like that, not too much spice, all those things. So it will not be very difficult. That's kind of illumination.
Okay.
And one more thing I'll tell you, Prabhu, like our Guru Maharaj was telling, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's brother, I think. Yes. So he was in his last days, like he passed stool or something like that. My Guru Maharaj was telling that it was smelling like, fragrant stool. He was telling literally. The stool was smelling very fragrant, not very bad, foul smelling. So someone who is in very ignorant or, eating bad food, very, for 2 days, 3 days, something like that, if you eat like that, it'll have very foul smell. So that's also maybe, I'm just adding to that.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you for your nice explanation. Okay, I'll not comment anything on that. Prabhu has already said nicely. I think we just move on. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, 11. We'll just do 2 more verses and then we'll stop. They are related, actually. Whoever is in this. Human Mohan Prabhu, you're next in my screen.
Okay, sure, Prabhu.
I think it was 12, Prabhu.
Oh, sorry. No, thank you, Prabhu. I'm also carried away by Prasanna Prabhu's explanation. Okay, 12. Thank you.
Lobha pravarti arambha.
Lobha pravartir arambha.
Karmanam ashmaha spraha.
Karmanam ashma spraha.
Rajasyetani jayante.
Rajasyetani jayante.
Vibradhe bharatarshabha.
Vivradde bhartarshabha.
Translation. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's a very nice verse which relates to most of us many times, if not all the times. When our passion is increasing, how can we identify this is increasing? Because we ourselves, sometime when we are not honest, we'll say, okay, we are in goodness. That's not the case. So, lobha pravritti arambha. So, arambha refers to endeavor. So, I know in Hindi, the arambha refers to begin, but in Marathi, also I think it's begin. Two Marathi people looking at me, Charu Mataji and Mahasu Prabhu. But in Sanskrit, Chaitanya Prabhu explains, it means endeavor. So he will start a lot of endeavors. Many people say, I have so much work, so much work, so much work. And they're always into work consciousness. Now, a devotee also has work, but that's also, that's in mode of like seva, but outside people. So pravritti, uski pravritti. Pravritti means inclination, natural inclination. We say, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, so busy. Now, Prabhupada asked, busy for what? That's what we have to identify. Busy for Krishna or busy for Maya? So, lobha refers to greed. Arambha refers to endeavor. Karmanam ashma refers to lots of desire. Karmanam ashma ispraha means, and these desires unsatiable means you finish one desire, another 3 are there. You finish 3, another 9 are there. You finish 9, another 100 is there. Never satiation. And also it refers to some people, buy certain things, and it says when they buy, they're very happy that, I'll own this dress or this car or mobile, whatever. As soon as they possess it, they start hankering for the next one. Straight away. Straight away, they go to the next one. And you say, Arey, abhi to kharida hai. You just bought it. But this happens, huh? They're just not happy with what they have. Rajas etani jayante. Vivradde again refers to the same thing. When Raja increases, what are the characteristics? Greed, endeavor, karmanam, ashma, ispraha. Ispraha again refers to that trashna, hankering, and Prabhupada writes, great attachment, which is good. Lobha, fruitive activity, pravatti, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering. Hankering is spraha. Karmanam, ashma refers to uncontrollable desire. One example, Indrapur Maharaj gave very nicely. When we see a car, we may have a desire. Okay, I want to have this car. But another person will say, nahi, chahiye hi chahiye. I definitely have to have it. I can't live without this car. That's too much. That's sometimes too much. That is called karmanam ashma, means unsatiable desire. You just want that. And another example, I think someone gave Ravan when he saw Sita. Marichi said, you have so many beautiful ladies. Why are you not satisfied with the current queens which you have? But Ravan said, yehi wali chahiye. I want this particular one. And Marichi said, don't just take one lady and everyone else which you have be satisfied with. He said, no, I want this one. So there you can see that was the path of destruction for Ravan. Priya Mataji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Actually, according to this verse, I think realistically we are, I mean, personally, I'm just talking myself, but most of the people I've seen or experienced that we are all anchoring for this sort of thing, like everyone wants to buy a house, everyone wants to live in the house, everyone wants to find a big house, wants to be happy in that house with their family, or then if that house is not suffice, they need to bring more family members, they bring a bigger house, and then so forth. People are buying houses and they are just working all the time and just to sustain those the mortgages and the loans. So
and once you have a big
how
house
would
and a
you
bigger car, and then bigger furniture, bigger washing machine, bigger iPhones, you're right. And Mataji, the simple answer is that's why we are humans and we are considered generally mode of passion. So you're right. So we all have these modes predominantly, I'm not saying everyone is like that, predominantly, we are in mode of passion. And that's what Krishna is saying. And you can clearly relate the outside world with this verse, clearly related. Because this is what most of us in that journey, bigger, 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 bigger and more, bigger and more, bigger and more. And we just never stop. You're right.
So in a way that is wrong, Prabhuji, that what we are doing, we need to develop a bit more
Definitely,
attitude
Mataji.
of simple living, higher thinking.
That's what it is, Mataji. And that's why we may have these tendencies, and that's why it says, buying house is not a problem. But theoretically, as you're saying, that is just a theory. Practically, we buy a house not for Krishna, for us, many times, again, if not all the time.
Yes.
So many times. So we have to purify our desires. It says house is not a problem, car is not a problem, your any material, so-called material quality is not a problem, as far as you're able to engage that material possession or quality or your family in purely the service of Krishna. And the definition given is, how do you know which I'm buying for myself and buying for Krishna? And the definition is given when you buy an iPhone, for example, or a car, and you engage in Krishna service. That means mostly it's for you. When you need in Krishna service and then you buy, like you need a laptop for preaching purposes, for example, you can't do so much preaching because you don't have a laptop. Then you buy a laptop, I said it's service. When you buy a laptop and then 1 hour you do preaching, and 23 hours we are watching movies. हमने तो कृष्णा के लिए ही लिया है. We do everything for Krishna only. So that sort of tendency has to be checked or refined. At the same time, we should not just blindly, we should not have this blind expectation that overnight we or others around us will change overnight. So, okay, they are bringing the car for Krishna once in a year. That's all right. Next year, they will bring twice a year. Next year, they will bring. So we have to be very patient with others. But with us, we should be as simple as possible. And we should look at the goal. Our goal is not to make a bigger house in the material world. Our goal is to make a house in Vaikuntha. So what is your goal? Bigger house in Sydney or, a house in Vaikuntha. So a house in Sydney is needed. That's fine. We need some shelter, some clothing, some good people around us. That's all right. But that's not our ultimate goal. And Radhagovind Maharaj said we should feel this material world is like a dharmshala. If many of you would not have heard this word dharmshala, dharmshala is a very simple accommodation where you pay a few rupees, you stay overnight, and next morning you go. So we should consider this place as dharmshala, not as a permanent place. And then if you have this consideration, you'll be on a right path, generally speaking.
Prabhu, can I ask something?
Yes, Mataji, just give me 1 second. Priya Mataji, is that sort of okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a very practical question Mataji asked. So Charu Mataji, it's 6 o'clock. I'm looking at the watch. We can be very quick if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priya Mataji was talking about someone who is greedy and hankering for something new constantly. What about a person who is on the other end of the spectrum, just doesn't want to spend money? He's very miserly. What mode is he in?
Hare Krishna. Hard to certify, but one point is definitely there. We should, instead of looking at which thing he is doing, which thing is not doing, and we all have that sort of vision. I also have it, but we should look at the purpose, why he is spending or why he is not spending. When we go to the whys, which is the root of thing, then we can get a better clarity. Otherwise, the eventual result, what comes out, is very hard to say. Was it the right action? Arjun killing Bhishma Pitama. How do you judge this? He's killing his own grandfather. So sinful person. Why is he killing? So, sorry, Mataji. Question on question. Why someone is not doing something? That's what we have to ask. And then only we can get down a little bit deeper. And then we can think, he's in ignorance, he or she or whatever. Ignorance, passion, or goodness. And many times, Mataji, my Guru Maharaj said that. I'll repeat what my Guru Maharaj said. He said, many times it's not worth being right. I'm still learning this sentence, but I love this sentence. Many times it's not worth being right. You're right, but it's not worth being right because you're going to burn your relation. So you may be right, others may be wrong, but still wrong is also okay sometimes. आपका गधा आगे मेरा घोड़ा पीछे. गौर गोपाल प्रभु चलेगा. You're wrong, but you can go forward. That's all right. I'll follow you. So we have to sort of understand the depth of the issue and why this is happening, then only we can come to a conclusion. Otherwise, we are not devotees. We are just, pigeonholing these people, which we should not do. We should not do. All the Pakistanis are bad. All the Muslims are very easy to say, may not be true. So very hard to jump to a conclusion. Only Guru can do that. For us, step back. if everything within that range I'm not talking about, and pray to Krishna to give me intelligence, give this person intelligence, so that we can move forward cooperatively in serving Krishna. Okay, I'll stop here. Mataji is still saying something. You're on mute.
No, I just said thank you.
Okay, 6:03. We'll stop. Sundar Gopal Prabhu, just a quick one.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, like we decided for next week on the 3rd, we're going to have a face-to-face class.
Yay. And we all coming? Hopefully, please. It's very nice to see devotees face to face. And Mohit Prabhu is also planning a wonderful. I'll not say anything now. You're looking with surprise. No surprise with Mohit Prabhu. Yes, Sundar Prabhu. In the temple, I mean, Mohit Prabhu, don't get worried. In the temple. In the temple, for all the devotees, there wonderful feasts organized by Mohit Prabhuji.
Always.
Always.
Yeah, but
you take the credit now. What's the big deal? Okay.
But the class would be at Mohit Prabhuji's home, so I'll publish the details.
Okay, class will be at the same time, so please come, and we'll start the same time, we'll finish the same time, we'll all go to temple, we'll take prasadam together, spend some time face to face. Okay, let's stop here. And today is the first day of Jhulan Yatra. If possible, please come to temple and sing Radha Gopinath. It says if you sing Radha Gopinath here, you'll get an opportunity to sing Radha Gopinath in the spiritual world. So there's a wonderful opportunity for all of us. And Vinay Prabhu is showing his own Jhula, which he has made for the Lord. If you can't go to Radha Gopinath temple, go to Vinay Prabhu's ashram. Swing the Lord. Okay. Hare Krishna. We'll see you again next week. Happy